Good afternoon. The Public Safety Committee will now come to order. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderman Oldenburg.
Present.
Say it again, please.
Present.
Thank you. Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
Here.
Alderwoman Sanye.
Present.
Alderwoman Velasquez.
Present.
Vice Chair Aldrich.
Present.
Chair Narayan.
Here.
President Green. 7 present. We have quorum.
Thank you. With that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from Thursday, February 12th, 2026.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and second that we approve the minutes. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderman Oldenburg.
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
Aye.
Alderwoman Sanye.
Aye.
Alderwoman Velasquez.
Aye.
Vice Chair Aldrich. Chair Narayan.
Aye.
President Green. 7 aye votes.
With that, we've sustained the motion to approve the minutes. We have 2 items on the agenda today. We have Board Bill 151 and Resolution number 258. Alderman Aldridge is carrying both of them. So, Alderman, dealer's choice on which one you'd like to take up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. So I'm going to do Board Bill 150 first, and I've tried to talk to as many of my colleagues on this committee about it ahead of time to get a little overview because the people is in the House, so I want to make sure for the resolution that we have enough time for people to speak on that. So I'm going to kind of walk through the legislation. Also have Ms. Mia from the City Councilor's office here, who may also be able to answer any questions that I may miss. So Board Bill 51 ultimately gives more transparency when it comes to our nuisance board. As we know right now, our nuisance board is not, there's kind of no public process. When you think about our Board of Adjustments and other conditional use boards, there's opportunity for people to weigh in on, the community to be able to weigh in on those activities that are going. So I'm going to do a quick walkthrough. I think I left the actual bill. Could you look under that computer, Mr. Chairman? Of this legislation, I do want to bit of a highlight. So there was conversations with myself and Alderman Oldenburg with the building division, with the nuisance property and law enforcement to figure out how do we hold more nuisance properties accountable. So just going through the legislation, I'll go page by page, and then I know we have some speakers here to also speak on that, and we'll take any questions from committee members. So ultimately what this board bill will do is it will repeal and replace a certain ordinance, ordinance number 69730, as well as ordinance number 70390, and amend it by creating this new established nuisance board. This nuisance board would have the authority to hear and determine public nuisances within the area. They will hear cases that will come forward from the Department of Public Safety, Building Division, and other city agencies. They could be able to hear cases that will be through community petition. We talk about what that petition process looks like. When we get to the petition process, we use a lot of the language that we already use when it comes to liquor license, or if somebody was trying to open up a shelter with a 150-foot radius, a person could be able to collect signatures to bring forward the potential nuisance. They will determine from the nuisance, the board will determine if there is any need to issue requirement of abatement, as well as any restrictions or any items to kind of remedy a nuisance, if that is security, more people working, or other items that may be deemed a nuisance. We'll get to that on other pages. On page 2 of 9, we talk about the board. So this will be a new board that's set up that is made to a board of 7 members that's appointed by the mayor, then approved by the Board of Aldermen, just like all our current boards in the city of St. Louis. They go through the mayor's department, and then the Board of Aldermen approves them. We lay out those members. We're looking to have 4 community members on the board, 1 representative from the Building Commission, one representative from the health department or safety expert, as well as a licensed Missouri, somebody who's experienced municipality or administrative law. Again, the purpose of or going to the community petition. So a resident could be able to submit a community petition saying, hey, a business they believe is a nuisance, which will trigger with 51% of the area radius of 150 feet, would trigger administrative review where proper evidence of the nuisance can be provided to the board, but a petition alone does not determine that a property is a nuisance. So just because somebody submit petitions and say we believe this is a nuisance, it doesn't make the actual property or residential place a nuisance. It will then go through the process and have a hearing from the administrative board to determine if that is a nuisance. The petition also have to have, just like most petitions that we do, it has to be individuals who's registered voters. Earlier I mentioned it is 150 feet. I want to correct it. Actually a 350 feet radius. They have to be registered voters. It has to be an owner of the record of the property or owner operated of the business physically located within that radius. On page 3, we talk about just the signature gathering. It would take 51% of signatures collected to start the process. The individuals that will be making sure that those signatures are legit, that the individuals that live in that radius actually are members, will be the Department of Public Safety. Any alleged conduct and nuisance based on this potential nuisance will be part of that. They will look to make sure that the names are printed, signature address, qualified status, as well as whoever is collecting the signature. Just like when you collect any signatures, you have to get a sworn affidavit. 5.240 on page 4 just talks about the verification. So DPS or the designee shall independently verify all signatures. If anybody were to submit, a duplicate or submit petitions that also have already been resolved through this nuisance board, the city will have the ability to decline that petition so that if it goes through the board and the board say, hey, actually we have either found that this property is not a nuisance or they're taking corrective action through abatement and they're already doing that. If another petition is brought forward, the city does have the ability to decline it. On page 5 of 9, one of the things I think that's really critical of this bill and why we're doing it, it's about, again, making sure that the community's at the table and that there's a public process. So 5.300 on page 5 of 9 is the notice of the hearings. A lot of this language is already what the nuisance department do. So if someone is triggered to be potentially a nuisance, there'll be a written notice from the board. Hearing shall be posted in plain sight, and it has to be provided to the property owner, any lien holder of the record, the petition owner, the alderman of the designated area where this potentially could be a nuisance, just like they do with us with liquor license, the SLMPD captain, and any active neighborhood associations. We added that language after a bill that Alderwoman Clark Hubbard did to make sure that neighborhood associations are getting information on different things that are going on in the community and not just the alder. So it gives power to our neighborhood associations and not just the power to alder people. All those notices will be first class, sent to the actual individual, such as the lien holder or the property owner. At the bottom of the page, we just talk about the hearing of how those will be done. All hearings should be conducted by the board and recorded. Currently, if a property is a nuisance, those meetings are not recorded, just like Board of Adjustment, conditional use, all those are recorded. This will now have a front-facing opportunity for those meetings to be recorded. All testimony shall be given under oath. The case for the city shall be presented to the city councilor. It also gives the individuals who are petitioners to be able to testify on why they brought the petition forward, as well as allow any community members that may feel this property is a nuisance or not a nuisance to also be able to testify. Page 6 of 9 talks about finding an order. So the board shall issue written findings and facts concluded to the law. So the board that is being set up, they just can't say a property is a nuisance without actually having findings, either evidence from the police department or things that they currently are breaking the law within the city of St. Louis. If the board find that it is a public nuisance defined under this ordinance or the existing nuisance ordinance, the board shall issue orders requiring the owner to abate those nuisance properties. So the goal is to give people opportunities to, if their property is to be found a nuisance, to find corrective actions. This isn't your property is a nuisance and you must shut down, but it's a nuisance because X, Y, and Z, and the board is laying out several ways to be able to fix those corrective actions. On page 7 to 9, we lay out those corrective actions, either improving security, hiring licensed or unlicensed security, making sure that there's conditions limited to the property, removal of trash, debris, or abandoned property parcels, and also potentially certain times of closures that is needed. The board should also give a reasonable deadline to the actual property owner to be able to fix those nuisances so that the corrective action actually has a timeline laid out, and then we're not talking a year or 2 years later. 5.330 just talks about our judicial review. So individuals who have been deemed a nuisance, they will have due process. That the board is not the end-all be-all. They do have due process. The section under that just talks about the violations. It's already current language that we have. If they do not follow those abated orders, the city could potentially fine them from $100 to $500. But if that is the case, that will go through the court process. The court will ultimately determine if they are complying. And then page 9 is just codifying language that is already in previous ordinance, as well as saying in section 4 on that page that the board is authorized to adopt rules and procedures that is applicable to the law. Section 4 and 5 is the severability clause, and section 6 is the effective date. That is the piece of the legislation. And again, like I say, the goal is to ensure that there is a kind of a public process, so that right now residents don't know if they say that a process, or if a property or a building is a nuisance, there's no open process to that. This will allow a more transparent process so that the community know what's going on and allow voices for residents to be able to weigh in. With that, unless I missed anything, I'm gonna have Ms. Mia come up and maybe we'll wait if there's any questions.
Sure. At this point, Madam Clerk, will you add me as a co-sponsor to Board Bill 151?
Noted.
Thank you. I guess I'll just go in list in seniority here. Alderman Oldenburg, do you have any questions? Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
I don't have any questions. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the conversations that we had earlier wrapping around this. We know this is the issue in all of our neighborhoods across the city, so adding this additional tool in the toolbox, I think is going to be a game changer. Anytime we can bring the public into the process is a game changer, so thank you. I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor as well, Madam Clerk.
Noted.
Alderwoman Saunier.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. I would echo what the Alderwoman of the 10th intends. As this process is set up right now, it really depends on a city agency in order to initiate this process. And I've had many times where I've went over to city agencies, such as Ms. Woods, to initiate this process. And so I'm appreciative now that neighbors and neighborhood organizations will have a direct opportunity to initiate the process, although obviously the prosecution of it is still at the deferral of the city councilor. I think this is a great addition, and I would actually like to make a motion to embank this bill.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you, Alderwoman.
I think this is a great addition, and I would actually like to make a motion to embank this bill.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we embank Board Bill 151. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderman Oldenburg.
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. Alderwoman Velasquez.
Aye.
Alderwoman Saunier.
Aye.
Vice Chair Aldrich.
Aye.
Chair Narayan.
Aye.
President Green. 7 aye votes.
All right, with that, we have moved to embank Board Bill 151. That makes me think you're going to have the votes to get this out of committee, so I'll just let you go ahead and close.
I have a couple questions.
You do have questions. So, yep, please proceed.
Thank you. Sorry. Just a couple. I agree with my colleagues. I think it's great to get the community involved. We all have nuisance properties in our ward, and we've worked on a couple of them in my ward. Just curious about not wanting to get into a situation like the Board of Adjustment, right, where they're behind in their case log. So is there any? What's the current sort of caseload that this board would have, and then is there any mechanisms to make sure that they are able to have the capacity to keep it moving?
Okay, so what this process does is it enhances our current process. So you still have your nuisance teams that are currently comprised of the attorneys, the NSO or Neighborhood Stabilization Officer, improvement specialist, as well as a police officer from the problem properties unit. One from each police district. So they're still discussing the cases. They're still trying to get voluntary compliance. It is once they get to a point where they have engaged, they've tried to make recommendations, they've summoned the property owner and or the individuals that are contributing to the nuisance, they can't get compliance. The current process as it is today, we, at that point, would escalate this case to an administrative hearing officer. That is not a city employee. That is someone that we had put our RFP out. We have to pay them for their time. On average, it's between $700 to $1,000. It just depends how big of a case it is, how many people, how many witnesses, how much evidence. Based off of that, will determine the actual bottom line of how much that proceeding will cost. We can't anticipate what that would be. So what the current practice is, we reserve those cases for the most egregious nuisance cases. So when it comes to the workload for the board, the goal here is one, to be more proactive instead of reactive and make it streamlined and be a part of our process where after so many attempts of trying to get compliance, it then goes into this board to then offer abatement solutions. And it does a little bit more that the current one doesn't, like it brings in other definitions of nuisance that our current nuisance process does not consist of. Our current nuisance process consists of behavior, how people act at properties. This also brings in the, derelict vehicles that we can't seem to get towed. The open storage that we can't remove because the building division code only results in condemnation and we don't want to make people unhoused. So we just don't really have a mechanism to force abate that property.
So it will reduce overall capacity. Is that what or could reduce overall capacity for?
I would say that it doesn't reduce capacity, it expands it in a sense because now you're bringing in a vessel that will allow us to move these more efficiently.
I said that wrong. It reduces the load, the overall load.
Well, it will because it's not like an ongoing, we're just
Right.
renewing it and keeping it going and no, it doesn't change the status quo. The goal here is to change the status quo for the communities. What they see will actually change. At this time, we don't, the most egregious one gets the attention, to be honest.
Thank you. I appreciate the clarification. I have no other questions, Chairman.
Thank you for that. And I jumped the gun before I said that you should close. Is there any public comment, Madam Clerk? You had questions? Okay, I was going to say, you didn't see it? It didn't seem like it. Madam Clerk, was there any public comment?
I have one raised their hand, Mr. Jay Ozier. I'm not sure if he's wanting to speak on 151 or waiting on the resolution.
Mr. Ozier?
Oh, let me see that one. Trying to get some chairs.
I'm sorry.
No. He's asking if it's Dave Boger.
Are you reading B-O-G-E-R? Okay.
Okay, so they declined. So in here, we have Kim, is it Janae? Anyone here that's signed on Resolution 258 to speak for Board Bill 151 as well? Did you sign one sheet to speak for both bills? So anyone here who wants to speak on Board Bill 151, raise your hand.
Sir,
Okay.
come on up.
Good afternoon. Thank you for hearing my testimony. I want to be very brief, but I applaud Alderman Aldridge for embracing the need for community involvement in issues of this nature and putting in place a tool with his colleagues to help nuisance properties be resolved very quickly. I think this is a terrific bill. I was involved, and again, my name is Matt O'Leary. I'm involved with Downtown Forward, the Washington Avenue SID, and the St. Louis Neighborhoods Alliance. This has been something we've talked a lot about at the Alliance, and it enjoys broad support from membership of the Alliance. I think it's a terrific bill. Thank you, Alderman Aldridge, for his leadership on this, and we support this very unequivocally.
Thank you. Just so everyone knows, excuse me, they did open up the gallery, so if anyone's standing and would like a seat, you can go upstairs into the gallery.
Down post.
Why'd they open the door? Okay. Okay. Okay, so I've just been told that they're setting up the leisure room for overflow so that people have a place to sit if they don't. Okay, yeah, don't sit in the balcony is what I'm being told. Yeah. That's what I'm being told. Yeah, so we're getting more chairs down here. Excuse me there. So with that, sorry for the interruption there, and Alderman, please proceed.
All right, so back on Board Bill 151, I do want to thank a couple people. I gotta give all the flowers to Miss Mia Wood. She's done an amazing job on this. It's been great to collaborate with her. I appreciate Alderman Oldenburg, who really brought, I think, this issue to some of our front door. I want to thank Mr. John McLaughlin, the Building Division, who was also part of the conversation, Mr. Ed Ware, as well as the mayor's office that was at the table to try to figure out how we implement a community process. And I thank all the committee members for signing on as a co-sponsor. With that, I'll take a motion for a due pass recommendation on Board Bill 151.
I make a motion that we pass Board Bill 151 with a due pass recommendation.
Second.
Second.
Madam
Sorry,
Clerk?
that was seconded by,
By myself.
7 and 4?
Yes.
And Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderman Odenberg.
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. Aye. Alderwoman Velasquez.
Aye.
Alderwoman Sanye.
Aye.
Vice Chair Aldrich.
Aye.
Chair Narayan.
Aye.
President Green. 6 aye votes.
With that, you sustain the motion and pass Board Bill 151 out of committee with a due pass recommendation. So with that, we will move on to resolution number 258.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I was going to have the clerk read the resolution, but just in lieu of time, because we have a lot of people here, I just will talk about the point of this resolution. As we know, there is a now state-controlled police board that was not based on the people of the city of St. Louis, but individuals who are in Jefferson City who do not live here, who do not pay taxes here, that continue to think they know best for the city of St. Louis. This once upon a time was in front of voters, where voters had made it very clear, we want local control of our police board. Since going back under state control, I mean, it's been everything, a hot mess and more. Right now, we have a board of individuals who do not fully understand, I think, the actions that they are putting in front of not only the police board, but the actions that they're going to do to the city of St. Louis by increasing the police board budget beyond what statutorily it's supposed to be. As we've seen over the last several days, we have commissioners that have said they want to increase the police budget, if not 50 million, 100-something million, that would be devastating to other city services. I want to be clear, this resolution is not aimed in saying this is an anti-police thing. This is aimed to say we need individuals making fiscal responsibilities when it comes to our budget. And right now, we have a board that is really putting the city in a situation where if we move and we continue to head down this road, we might as well have our police department be forestry. We might as well have our police department be water. We might as well have our police department be other departments, because what's going to happen if we give more than what the board is already allocated, we're going to be in a bad spot when it comes to city services. I do want to highlight, the current city budget, over 50% already go to public safety, and the police budget makes up most of that. I know myself, Alderwoman Velazquez, Alderwoman Sanye sits on budget, and one of the things that we continue to see when it comes to the police budget is a lot of those funds that they're actually allocated is not even being spent. So this is just saying, from the Board of Aldermen, we're opposing the actions that are happening at the police board. We would love to have more conversations, because they don't understand the impact that they're going to have if they continue to say that the police budget needs to be extremely more than what it is, as well as there's a bill moving in the House and in the Senate. Again, more control taken away from local control, that is trying to make it where anything that goes through ENA, where the police board would have to get input through ENA, they're trying to now take away that power from ENA to make decisions on things that would go to the police board. So they want full control. They want a budget that will put the city not only in red, but also be very harmful to other city services. And as all elected officials, I know we have all pushed back and wanted local control, and we can't stand silent to a board that is going to be putting not only the city at harm, but also other departments that do critical service of keeping us safe. When we talk about public safety, I mean, I think folks have been saying it for a while. We need to reimagine what public safety is, right? Public safety is making sure we have a strong building division to make sure these abandoned buildings in North St. Louis are actually taken down, right? Public safety is also ensuring that we have money going to our water department when we continue to see water main breaks over and over again, and have adequate funds so that we can get the lead out of the water that has been going on for a very long time. Public safety is making sure grass get cut, and in the summertime, you don't have grass as tall as you from Paul McKee and other people that have not taken care of that is not taking care of their due, what they were supposed to be taking care of. So again, I just want to go very high level over this. I'll say some more things at the end, but since we have a lot of people here, I want to respect everybody that showed up during the workday to actually come speak on this resolution.
All right. Thank you, Alderman. I know that when we've spoken, I certainly share your concerns here with this budget. And I have asked the clerk to add me as a co-sponsor to this resolution. With that, I'll open it up to the committee for discussion before we get to public comment.
So noted.
Does anybody on the committee have any specific questions or anything they want to address before we go to public comment?
I do, Mr. Chairman. It's all right.
Absolutely. Please proceed.
Thank you. With the sponsor, you just yield for some questions.
Alderman, will you yield for questions? No. He's saying yes and going back over.
Great.
Please proceed.
Alderman, thanks for this. I just have a couple of questions, and the context here I think is an agreement. I want to be perfectly clear. I have no issue with the statement that Resolution 258 is making here. I think I do have an issue with what it sets in motion, and I know we didn't start it, but it would be nice if the Police Commission, the Board of Aldermen's Budget Committee, to which you chair, the mayor's office, and the ENA representatives could get in a room and have a mature conversation about what the budget should look like and how financially their proposal impacts the city of St. Louis. You are the chairman of the Budget Committee, Alderman, and I just have a question. Has anyone from the Police Commission or their attorney, which they want to communicate through apparently solely, have any of them contacted you to try to set up such a meeting, as opposed to what clearly is a negotiating tactic on what is a very large amount of budget. Has anyone contacted you to try to set up a meeting and have a conversation about how this might impact the city financially?
No, no one has contacted me, but this past weekend, I actually went to Chris at the docket. As we know, Mr. Chris is the commissioner, the president of the commission, and I extended an invitation for him to come in front of budget, as I told him. I like Chris at the docket, but his role that he's taken on this commission, I think, is reckless and do not fully understand the scope of our budget. I have his number, and I did extend that invitation for him to come in front of the budget committee.
Okay. And the police commission's attorney, who I think speaks for them a lot, has he communicated anything to you or extended any kind of a conversation to the chairman of the budget committee?
No, I have not received any communications from the attorney.
See, it's disappointing. Okay. I have no further questions. I appreciate it, Alderman, and let's hear from the public.
Thank you, Alderman.
Anyone else on the board? Go ahead, President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Alderman Aldridge, for bringing this forward. Before we begin public testimony, I just want to go through a little bit of, I think, Budget 101 and who has authority for what when it comes to this. So first off, I want to say that it is typical for departments to ask for more money than the city can fund. This year, from all city departments, we have, at the Board of Estimate Apportionment, received a little over $80 million in requests over what we are capable of funding. But that is for every department across the city, not including police. What is very atypical is to have one department asking for $50 million or more over the baseline that the city kind of gives them to keep their budget within, so that we can have a balanced budget that impacts, that allows for all of the priorities that we have across the city to be funded. I also want to make it clear that the authority over this still lies, unless there is, legislation at the state level. Today, the authority over this budget still lies with the Board of Estimate and Apportionment and the Budget Committee and Board of Aldermen. What that means is that it is up to the Board of Estimate and Apportionment, so that is myself, the mayor, and the comptroller, to put forth a balanced budget that weighs all of the different priorities that come to us. And historically, just because a department asks for something does not mean they get it. I mean, we've all seen the videos of, former director Sarah Russell standing up here and begging for more emergency management funding during a budget session not too long before the tornado. And unfortunately, that was not funded at that point in time. So this budget it is still under the Board of Estimate and Apportionment to do that balanced budget that reflects the needs and priorities of residents in our city, and then recommend that budget to the Board of Aldermen to have hearings on and ultimately pass by July 1st. So I just want to set that baseline that just because it's asked for doesn't mean we automatically give it to them. And I understand that there is concern over a line or two that is in the state bill that can remove elected officials from office for interfering with the Police Board of Commissioners. But I think if there's ever a time to test that, it is on this. And so I just wanted to lay out kind of what that process looks like. The budget will be introduced mid-April through ENA. There will be public hearing on that at ENA before we send it to the full Board of Aldermen, and then Budget Chair Aldridge will have multiple hearings on this. So today is a beginning of a public conversation around it. It's not the end, but we do have to have a balanced budget in place to go into effect by July 1st. Thank you.
All right. Then with that, what we're going to do for public comment here is each individual that's signed up will have 3 minutes to speak, and we'll just move through the list. Madam Clerk, if you could please call the first speaker.
First, we have Ryan, I can't make out the last name. Ryan Oak, I can't make it out at all.
All right, and whenever.
My name is Ryan Diebel. I live in Woodson Terrace, but I work in the city.
Mr. Gable, I'm sorry, could you spell your last name for me?
Dieboll.
Thank you.
While the north side of St. Louis, which has been victim to historical neglect, redlining, and police brutality, has been devastated by a tornado, the police department, in its astounding greed, asked for $72 million more than their previous budget to fund what is essentially an occupying army. Despite the fact that crime has gone down significantly, despite the fact that between 2009 and 2019, 179 people have been killed by police or in police custody, the majority of whom are black. Despite the fact that the St. Louis Metro Police Department has a history of brutality, evidenced by the killing of Michael Brown, the city, they asked for $72 million more. This money should be spent on the people of St. Louis, on housing, on feeding people, on repairing houses destroyed by a tornado, on fixing the neglect. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Debo. Next, we have Chris Wilcock.
And everyone, just so you know, after you finish speaking, if you want to make more space in here, you can go over to room 230. They are streaming this meeting from there for people who want a little bit more space or to be able to sit down after they're done speaking. You have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Good afternoon. My name is Chris Wilcox and I live in the 14th Ward. I support Resolution 258, sponsored by Alderman Aldridge, not only because we are experiencing the usual creeping growth of police in St. Louis, because the proposed budget by the illegitimate Board of Police Commissioners is a declaration of war by our openly fascist state and federal governments in the city of St. Louis. To start from, the St. Louis City budget for the SLMPD is SLMPD is the deadliest per capita in the United States and the most bloated. With the current police budget, which crept up to 29% of the general fund last year, has more cops per capita than 92% of cities. That's even with the vacant positions that haven't been filled. As if to demonstrate this point, I passed by 3 cops idling outside the hearing room just now. You would think they would be too busy trying to solve over the 50% of murders that have remained uncleared over the last 10 years. Of course, they're standing out there glowering at all of us coming to speak against their obscene budget, because addressing community violence is not what they do, and it's not what they're for. While the city is likely to run out of funds for the Office of Violence Prevention, cops are busy pulling people over and handing them over to ICE. Over 82% of kidnappings by ICE in the state are happening because cops are handing them over. The growing budget will further the already terrifying surveillance state piping directly to the state-controlled department. We have grossly failed in our responsibility toward North City in particular. Following the May 16th tornado, it's particularly hideous that the corrupt commissioners like Don Brown are personally profiting from this, increasing the police fleet budget for the guy who sells them the cars that crash into gay bars and run red lights. SLMPD is a malignant tumor on the host that is the city of St. Louis. No matter what you value in your city, whether it's the egregiously underfunded human services or simply filling potholes, collecting the trash, and clearing snow, this is an existential conflict for the city, and we need to win. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have online Mr. Jay Ozier.
All right, Mr. Ozier, you have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Yes.
Will you swear
yes, my
him
name
in?
is
I'm sorry.
James
No. You have 3 minutes. Please proceed, sir.
Okay, yes, my name is James Ozier. I'm a lifelong resident of the city of St. Louis. And to the Public Safety Committee. I would like to say that the Republican state-controlled legislature is attempting through House Bill 495 to give the St. Louis Police Department an additional $50 to $70 million. This is another egregious attempt by the mega donors, which is finance capital, to destroy and decimate St. Louis City budget. The Hancock Amendment prevents the states from shifting funding responsibility to local governments without providing the necessary resources, protecting local taxpayers from unexpected financial burdens. That's the purpose of the Hancock bill. We urge the mayor, the comptroller, the president, and the board of aldermen to take all actions to prevent this unfunded mandate. This unfunded mandate is attempted by the greedy, who have no compassion at all for the needy. And now we have Trump's war, which is in violation of the Constitution. His war will be having a devastating effect on working people in this city, including but not limited to the rising cost of gasoline, housing, and food. We have not recovered from the devastation of the tornado. It is clear that House Bill 495 is not in the interest of the people of St. Louis and will destroy the services that we now have, that the city is now providing. Any decent or sensible person could not support this outlandish act by the mega right. Do the right thing for the people. Stop this unfunded mandate and stop the ripoff of the people. And thanks again.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk?
Next, we have Dustin, is this Tupil? Could you spell your, once you get up to the mic, spell your last name for me?
Hello, my name is Dustin Turpin, Turpin.
All right. You have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Hi, I live in Benton Park. Just want to speak in support of Resolution 258, and also that the drastic difference, just going back on numbers of previous years, this is like a close to a 36% increase. This is a huge amount that they're asking for. It's not even within inflationary adjustment. So it's just insane to see from, I don't know what it cost, 36% more that they need. And that's pretty much, let's see. Oh yeah, cost per resident.
I'm sorry, Mr. Dustin, we can barely hear you.
Oh, okay. I'll get closer.
Thank you.
This is better?
Yes.
Okay. With this amount, we'd be approaching nearly $1,000 per resident. It would be at $894 per resident in the city of St. Louis, which our residents keep dropping actually year over year. So that's an insane amount to see. Whereas 2025, it was about $654 per resident within that police budget. So very boring numbers, but very important to see just how drastic this increase is. So thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Most of them are not.
No, he said unsure.
Oh, I forgot about
We
it.
typically.
Okay.
Madam
Next,
Clerk?
we have Connor Kerrigan.
Hey, Connor, how are you?
Hi, good afternoon, Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Connor Kerrigan. I am a resident of 4th Ward. That is Chairman Ryan's district, as you know. I previously served as the communications director for the city of St. Louis, so I've worked with every one of you on this committee. And you know that this is personally my 3rd year in a row fighting against state takeover and its harmful implications for our city. Alderman Aldridge, I want to thank you for filing this resolution. President Green, Alderwoman Velasquez, Alderman Browning, and now Alderman Narayan for co-sponsoring. I'd like to again thank President Green specifically for keeping the good fight going in courts against this takeover. Absolutely. You're going to hear a lot of great testimony today from individuals who will speak about the harmful nature of this Police Board of Commissioners budget. So I'd like to echo that testimony, but I do come to you with a specific request, which is that you amend this resolution to encourage, or more preferably demand, that the mayor's administration pursue active litigation by suing the Board of Police Commissioners and the state of Missouri over this budget. This lawsuit should seek primarily to clarify exactly how much is 23% of the city general revenue fund. I realize that there is hesitancy on behalf of the mayor's office to file a lawsuit because you could lose. That's how courts work. But we do need clarification because right now the mayor's office and the budget director cannot find common ground with the Board of Commissioners lawyer on what the actual number that we're negotiating on is, and they are tens of millions of dollars apart. Those tens of millions of dollars are extremely important right now. The mayor's office has used litigation against the state in this way before for clarification purposes. She sued in order to clarify who could appoint a new sheriff after Alfred Montgomery was removed from office. So this administration knows that a lawsuit is the appropriate path for legal clarity here, and that's what we need. Right now, this question is being debated. We need it answered. We are only in the first year of the state having control over our police department, and already the mayor is talking about mass layoffs. This doesn't just go away. You have to do a budget every single year. And so this board has shown, this police board has shown that they are not operating in good faith, even if the Missouri Attorney General's office is. They are going to take every penny they think they legally can. We need to be using every single tool in the toolbox in order to save the city from falling off a fiscal cliff, and a lawsuit against the state and the board with the backing of the mayor's office and the city councilor's office would be a crucial tool right now. So I ask that you include that demand in this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Next, we have, I believe online, is Audrey Kidwell?
Yes, hi.
Hi. You have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Great, thank you. My name is Audrey Kidwell, and I am a resident of the 6th Ward, so Alderwoman Velasquez is my board member, and I would also like to strongly urge the committee to support the resolution and reject the Board of Police Commissioners' proposed budget. The Board of Police Commissioners has said they're entitled to increase the SLMPD budget to total something around $330 million, which is frankly ridiculous. At their current budget of $189 million, St. Louis already spends more on policing than vast majority of U.S. cities, and SLMPD already receives 25% of the city's general fund. SLMPD also has a really horrible reputation for honestly killing St. Louis citizens or killing people in the city of St. Louis. And as other testimony has mentioned in recent months, SLMPD has begun cooperating closely with ICE to arrest immigrants with no criminal record other than their lack of status, which tears families apart in the process. And it's my belief that such egregious behavior is not in the interest of public safety and should certainly not be rewarded with additional funding. And the proposed budget increase would take funds away from departments and services that actually do keep St. Louisans safe, such as violence prevention, youth programs, and tornado recovery, to name just a few. And given the honestly deplorable state of the city's aging infrastructure, it's unconscionable that we would allocate more funding to police rather than fixing potholes and water mains. The last thing I'll mention is that the Board of Police Commissioners does not represent us. They are unelected appointees, and the majority of them have conflicts of interest in that they are businessmen who profit from deals with the police. None of them live north of Delmar, leaving northern neighborhoods without a commissioner from their area, and we cannot allow the Board of Police Commissioners to bankrupt our city just because their attorney told them that they could. So for all these reasons, I demand that the Public Safety Committee and the entire Board of Aldermen stand up to the Board of Police Commissioners, vote in favor of Resolution 258, and reject this egregious budget. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Camilla Aman.
Yep.
Camila Amon, 3rd Ward resident. The governor has asked every department in the state to reduce its budget by 20%. Each department by 20%. Yet the state is demanding that St. Louis City increase its already inflated police budget in a city whose crime and population decrease year over year. So I would like you all to support this budget if you want to bankrupt the city and force the coveted city-county merger. I would like you all to individually approve this budget if you wish to eradicate the sovereignty of a city older than the state of Missouri, older than the United States of America. Some here believe that they are voting to silence and be rid of us in the Ville, in Jeff Vanderloo, Walnut Park, O'Fallon, etc., hoping that more police means less copper faces on the street. Please know that it only ever begins with us. The Hill, Dogtown, any area or person waving an alternate flag is at risk. Please vote this budget in if you believe that it doesn't matter that we have given our livelihoods to this city in unfair taxes, income and sales tax, fines and tickets, also known as the black tax. Our sons and daughters, mothers and fathers, neighbors and friends have literally been sacrificed so this city can generate revenue through the so-called Justice Center. Please vote this budget in if you believe that we must give more. Please vote for this budget if you have given up on our city and the collective heritage that makes St. Louis Mound City the place that we love. No matter the growing national demand for sameness, please know that from the Des Peres River to the Mississippi, the city will be free.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
In opposition, we have the St. Louis Metropolitan Police.
Are they? Online or in person?
Okay.
You're wasting time.
Next, we have Ms. Bertie Jackson Babel. So next we have Ms. Is it Bertie or Jackson? I'm sorry, you can't come across.
All right. You have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Hello, my name is Bertie Jackson Babel, and I'm a resident of the 3rd Ward. I'm urging you to support Resolution 258 and reject this budget that would destroy the city of St. Louis. I'm a mental health professional and have spent years working in community mental health. I've seen firsthand how the current deficit of access to housing, mental health services, and city resources have negatively impacted our community and have even resulted in death. Further, statistically speaking, cities are not safer when they are a more heavily policed force. They are safer when there are resources that are accessible. I have personally witnessed police being called for mental health crises that resulted in violence and trauma for my clients and friends. Diverting funding from needed city resources to police will not make our city safer, it will do the opposite. I want funds for violent prevention, youth programs, housing resources for our unhoused family. Speaking of housing, it's unconscionable that the police have the nerve to ask for this obscene amount in our budget while hundreds of people remain unhoused with no resources, and that North City is still waiting on the housing assistance for tornado relief. It is diabolical that the board making this decision is made of folks with massive conflicts of interest and ties to the police department, and there is no North City or West City representation. Further, I demand and expect my alderperson, Shane Cohen, to actually listen to the rage of his constituents and join us in this fight to keep our city functional and to allocate funds that will help the community and not line the pockets of the police force that is already overfunded and kills its own residents at an alarming rate. I demand you to reject this budget and support Resolution 258, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Next, we have online Tracy Stanton.
Yep.
Hey, Sean, my name is Tracy Stanton. Hello, can y'all hear me?
Yep, you have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
I don't even need 3 minutes. Thank y'all so much. Thank you to the residents, to the people that actually care that are inside of City Hall right now. My name is Tracy Stanton. I'm a resident of the 1st Ward. I'm gonna be really, really brief. We already know that more police funding means more police. We know that more police means more police killing. We know that more police killing means more people inside of CJC. We know more people inside of CJC means more people that are gonna die at the hands and negligence of this city. We know that funding police while decreasing Office of Violence Prevention, while also integrating and introducing in the bills at the state level to certify our babies at 12 years old. This is all a master plan that's coming down from the government, from the federal government to the state and to St. Louis City. And the people in St. Louis City is not going to have it. We will not stand for the affirmation of more funding going to our police while we are continuously decreasing the power of the people and not giving the people the resources that they need. It's heinous. It is historically violent. It is an intentional act of warfare against Black community members. We know that's exactly what this is, and we will not stand for it, and we will keep coming back to the city, to folks' houses if this continues to go by, because we know and we understand that the police are inherently violent and they do not protect the people. They do not stop violence. So all of this stuff is interconnected, but ain't no way we cutting out the Office of Violence Prevention and we are giving more money to the police. Ain't no way that we gonna do that and stand for that. And ain't no way that the people that are on this board are going to sleep if this happens. That's all I have to say. Peace and power. Shout out to all of my comrades that are in the building, but be prepared. Be prepared, because if we have more police, we're going to have more people dying inside of St. Louis while we are already under-resourced, while we already don't have the funding that we need. We've been coming to this, talking about this budget with the already erroneous budget that we already have with the police, and they going to come in. Ain't no way this mayor is continuing to take photo ops and play in people's faces and Zodiac, and even with the election of Black officers and Black commissioners and Black Director of Public Safety and not gonna stand up for Black interests. Ain't no way that she came in and stopped and upseated a Black woman, which I had my issues with some of that ran, but ain't no way that we're gonna continue to let this happen. Ain't no way that y'all that got some control and power gonna sleep if it does. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
David Morse.
All right, you have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Hi, my name is David Morse. I live in Ward 6, Alder Velasquez's district. St. Louis needs affordable housing, tornado recovery, and strengthening our vulnerable. The proposed police budget gluttonously gobbles up the city's funds. We're already in the 85th percentile per capita on police spending. Instead of treating symptoms, let's treat our root problems. We just got hit by a tornado. We're in a real scrap here. People are counting on you. Vote in support of Resolution 258. No to police budget bloat. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Brian Chili?
All right, you have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Hello, my name is Brian Cayley. I'm a lifelong resident of the city and a business owner. I live in Ward 5 and co-own Read a Book STL in Ward 3. I grew up in a police family and was instilled with a deep respect and deference for authority. My father worked for the SLMPD for 30 years, my brother did 5, and I did just 3, from 2014 to 17. Before that, I earned a bachelor's degree in criminology and criminal justice from the University of Missouri St. Louis. I was a believer in community policing and expected to spend a long career serving and protecting the people of the city. The conduct and attitudes I witnessed from my coworkers, commanders, and the punishment bureaucracy at large in those 3 years would permanently alter my view of American policing. I am proud to now call myself a police abolitionist. Dehumanization of civilians was par for the course, but usually done behind closed doors. Abuse of the overtime system was rife. Senior officers taught me how to body up. This involves conducting continuous car stops in the last hour of your shift, not to issue citations, but instead looking for a driver or passenger with bench warrants. This made for an easy arrest stat and anywhere from 1 to 4 hours of overtime. Suspects were regularly described as animals. I saw witnesses maced as they were walking away from a crime scene as they'd been instructed to do so. I saw an officer shove his pistol in the face of a suicidal subject who was holding a knife and dare him to do it. I was asked more than once by coworkers to make false claims in arrest reports. Once I interrupted an attempted burglary but lost sight of the suspect in foot pursuit. When an individual was stopped 3 blocks away, I was unwilling to positively identify the suspect because I had never seen his face. For this, I was mocked and criticized. I was called a crazy liberal. They said I should have been a defense attorney. I also knew plenty of honest people that took their job seriously and valued human life, but they were the exception, not the rule. My father told me to focus on the acts of good that I can do, that we can't change the system or control what others do. He said I was a good cop and implored me to focus on how I can create positive outcomes on a personal level. As I now know, there are no good cops, just good people who happen to be cops. Crime is caused by poverty. We've known this for almost a century. Crime prevention starts with getting to know your neighbors, but on a governmental level, it has everything to do with funding social programs, housing assistance, youth programs, healthcare, access to food, the necessities of life. Policing is a violent, reactive institution that documents crime but does nothing to prevent it. This proposed budget will embolden bad actors within the department. This bloated budget would not just only bankrupt the city, but increase crime. The murder rate in St. Louis has fallen 30% in the last 4 years, and it's at its lowest since 2013. Meanwhile, SLMPD commits more murders per capita than any other department in the country. This budget is a punishment orchestrated by Jefferson City and proposed by unelected, out-of-touch, prominent business owners who stand to gain and profit from a police department flush with cash. Don't let these thieves have their way. Vote this budget down.
Thank you.
And if you'd like to learn more, I brought some books for you.
Perfect. Madam Clerk?
Next, we have Laura Fila.
Hi,
You
my
have 3
name's
minutes.
Lauren Filla. I live in Maplewood, and I'm the co-chair of the Eco-Socialist Green Party of Eastern Missouri, which represents volunteers and members of every ward in the city. Thank you, Alderman Aldridge, for this resolution. I'm here to call on you all to support the resolution and reject this absurd police budget that would bankrupt the city. This budget makes no sense, and you'd have to be doing mental gymnastics to act like it does. Police do not prevent crime. They were never even designed to prevent crime. They respond, often with brutality. More police funding would be used for more police gear, more militarized training, more militarized surveillance, and more police oppression. This budget would result in more police brutalization and more killing of St. Louis residents. The St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department kills more people per capita than any other police department in the country, all while we spend more of our tax dollars on policing than 85% of other cities in the country. Doubling this police budget would be the single worst thing that city leadership could do, and any alderman that supports this would be showing themselves as unqualifyingly corrupt and dangerous. Research shows over and over that increasing funding does not correlate to increased safety. If St. Louis is serious about violence prevention, the only way to do that is to direct funds out of policing and toward addressing the root causes of crime. This means more funding for social services and funding for programs like the Office of Violence Prevention, which, unlike police, used strategies like mediation, youth programs, community violence intervention to decrease burglaries in St. Louis by 30%, decrease auto thefts by 42%, decrease shootings by 53%. The city budget should be used to invest in people and community, not to write a $330 million check for militarized police. Our city's current budget already neglects our most vulnerable residents. Not a single penny from the current general fund goes toward homeless services. This predatory police budget proposal would take funds from the already weak Code Blue, and the lack of funding of that already resulted in several deaths this winter, countless cases of frostbite, wounds, amputations from our unhoused neighbors. We demand more funding for homeless services, not for police. So in closing, I'd like to add my organization's voice to those demanding that city leadership side with residents and reject this budget, and to take note of any members of this committee that show any sign of supporting this militarized police budget so we can adequately label you a sellout and mobilize heavily to replace you. Thank you. Reject this budget. And I'd like to add to the record that the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Force, the same force that cowers behind riot gear, did not even walk through this crowd when they were called to speak to why they want this $330 million slush fund. Cowards.
Thank you. Next, we have online Evan Pardue.
All right, you have
Hello,
3
everyone.
minutes.
Can you
Please
hear me?
proceed.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. You have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Evan Pardue. I'm a resident of Ward 10, and I do urban farming work in Ward 12. I'm the co-chair of the Political Education Committee of Black Men Build St. Louis. I came here today in support of Resolution 258 because the proposed police budget by the state-sponsored police board is just an egregious attempt to violate the sovereignty of the people of St. Louis and make our communities less safe by adding more guns to our streets instead of addressing the most immediate problem that the city has right now, which is recovering from the May 16th tornado on the north side. This proposed budget is nonsensical on many levels, but I'll only just highlight a few reasons. One, which has already been stated before, crime in the city has been steadily decreasing over the past 5 years and is at its lowest in almost a decade. And two, St. Louis Police Department per capita is the most dangerous police department in the country and definitely does not help to keep our streets safe. And number three, which I'll highlight again, the city hasn't even done its due diligence in helping to restore North Side communities, which are still, many of them, in devastation after the May 16th tornado. At the start of this segment, the Board of Aldermen President Megan Green started off by saying that it's normal for departments to ask for more than is necessary. And although many of us agree that this proposed police budget is exceptionally egregious, even in normal years, the Board of Aldermen has had no problem with feeding this monster that's become the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department, because our police budgets typically range from 20 to 30% of the city's general fund budget, even in normal years. In addition to this resolution, the Board of Aldermen should be aiming to take creative steps to decrease the size of the police department so that we can free up resources to better the lives of St. Louis citizens by investing in the North Side, in our water infrastructure, in our parks and rec, roads, health and human services, building division, Office of Violence Prevention, and more. City budgets are indeed moral documents that show the priority of the Board of Aldermen. So if you all want us to trust that you're for the people of St. Louis, then you must divest from the police and other violent entities and invest directly in the people of St. Louis to support our well-being. That I'm done.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Next, we have Jackie Schmid.
Hello, you have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Hi, I'm Jackie Schmid. I'm a St. Louis resident, 7th Ward, Alderwoman Saunier. I'm not even going to say all that I was going to say. People are saying it better than me. I will say part of it. It's more than enough to, I want to go on the record that I support and want you to support Resolution 258. It's more than enough to have to deal with our state government's efforts to undermine St. Louis. The state seems to have no respect nor compassion for St. Louis City residents. That's saying it lightly. And I understand there's only 2 cities in the nation that have control of their police departments, and they're both here in Missouri. Something has to be done. So I sincerely hope our elected officials will work together for the good of all city residents, especially those who are struggling most, people with low and middle income. Our city can only be successful when all residents have realistic opportunities to thrive. I urge you to reject the current proposed budget by the police department and support Resolution 258. Thank you for this opportunity to express my opinion. Thank you to the people coming out to fight this takeover. May our numbers grow.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
I'm not sure if Jackie Smith was signed up along with Stouffer Sudlick. There's Stouffer Sudlick here on the same line.
Looks like it. Yep. You have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
All right. I'm Topher. I live in Northwoods. I organize a lot in the city, and I organize across the state with a number of organizations. And I want to pose the question, what exactly is it police are for? You know, when they put together this police commission, did they grab experts on criminal justice? Did they grab people who are experts on social factors of crime? Absolutely not. They grabbed 4 rich people. They grabbed 4 rich people because the job of cops is to harass tenants unions, harass the homeless, harass union organizers, harass protesters, and then harass people for going 5 miles an hour over the speed limit. When we add more cops, they don't solve crime. They harass more people. They make life harder for everyone. And they waste more money sitting in overtime. More cops and more money to cops is not going to make this city safer. Services are. The safest places in this country are wealthy neighborhoods that provide a lot of services with their tax dollars and do very little policing. Adding more money to these police is a surefire way to make St. Louis a worse place to live. And it is taking an enormous chunk out of our budget that we need for everything else. Putting this money into the St. Louis Police is a terrible idea, and we should oppose it at all costs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have online Miss Chelsea Murta Vossmeyer.
Hey, Chelsea. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Chelsea Murta Vossmeyer, and I'm a property owner in the 1st and 7th wards. Many of you know me from my previous role as serving Alderwoman Alicia Sanier and the residents of the 7th ward as legislative assistant. I'm joining you today to express my support for Resolution 258. As all of you know, Missouri is the only state in the entire country that imposes a Civil War-era system of state control over a municipal police force. This arrangement is not normal, and it fundamentally undermines our autonomy and accountability in the city. Today, the consequences of this system are becoming very clear. The state-controlled police board is now demanding city residents to fund obligations that stem directly from the state's decision to take over our police department against our will and likely to our financial devastation. This state imposition is exactly the kind of unfunded mandate that the Hancock Amendment intended to prevent. But recognizing this problem is the first simple step. The real question is whether city leadership has the courage to challenge it. This board can pass resolutions and raise the alarm, which are so important. The authority to file a legal challenge on behalf of city residents ultimately rests with Mayor Kara Spencer. Only the mayor can bring the lawsuit that would determine that this mandate does violate the Hancock Amendment to protect our city from catastrophic financial consequences. The state has seized control of our police department. They've imposed new financial burdens on our city, and they've left St. Louis taxpayers holding the bill. This is not a friendly partnership. This is a power grab. And now is not the time to try to make friends with the very people who want to see our city burn. If the state is imposing an unconstitutional mandate on St. Louis, then the mayor has the obligation to challenge it, period. The longer our leadership delays that challenge, the greater the financial risk to all of us. So while I support Resolution 258 and I appreciate this committee for giving us the opportunity to express our concerns, we should also be honest about the limitations of what a resolution can actually do. Resolutions can express our values, but only lawsuits can defend our rights as St. Louisans. We deserve leadership that will stand up for the city, defend our budget and city services, and protect our right to govern ourselves. We have that leadership at the Board of Aldermen, but it is unclear if we can say the same about Room 200. So in closing, I'm calling on Mayor Kara Spencer to take the action that we actually need, to join the litigation that's already underway, or to initiate the city's own legal challenge to this unfunded mandate before it places an unsustainable burden on us. We can't get back to basics if essential city services have to be cut so that more money can be funneled to SLMPD. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Next, we have Eddie Schmidt.
You have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Okay. Hello, my name is Eddie Schmid, and I live in the 7th Ward here in St. Louis. I'm here today to support Resolution 258 and oppose the budget increase for our police department. I know more police in newer vehicles with more firepower does not make our city safe. It is a proven fact that more social programs, which I'm reiterating what everybody knows, like food assistance, affordable housing and daycare, better mental health care programs, free public transportation, better education opportunities, stronger gun laws. These things make us safe. When people can't get the help they need, they often turn to desperate means. My taxes increased by almost threefold last year, and I want my money used to improve the city's services and crumbling infrastructure that assist our struggling neighbors, not protecting the wealthy elite's interest, who, by the way, often have their taxes waived. Thank you for this opportunity to express my concerns.
Thank you.
Next, we have Melanie Marie.
Hello, you have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Thank you. My name is Melanie Marie, and I serve as the People's Response Organizer with Action St. Louis. I'm representing residents who are still fighting to recover, not just from the storm, but from systems that keep delaying the recovery our communities deserve. I want to begin with the mission and demand from our community, and that is a just recovery. A just recovery means the people most impacted by disaster and violence are the first priority, not an afterthought in a budget spreadsheet. It means recovery resources actually reach the people who need them before you grease your own pockets with bureaucracy. And right now, what residents are experiencing is not a just recovery. It is delay, confusion, and instability layered on top of trauma. I want you to picture something for a moment. In the Penrose neighborhood, Miss Kim lost her father shortly after the storm. Not to the wind, not to the breeze, but to the heartbreak of watching decades of his life, his family's history destroyed overnight, while waiting hopelessly for city repair programs and direct aid that never came. Grief does not always come from the storm itself. Sometimes it comes from what the storm takes with it: dignity, stability, and hope. And just blocks away, families are still living out of hotels, children trying to do homework in cramped rooms, debris still scattered across neighborhoods that were already neglected by this city for years. That is what recovery looks like for many families right now today. So let's be honest about where we are. North City is still carrying the weight of that disaster, while watching everyone take a top priority. Now at the state level, the Board of Police Commissioners are demanding upwards of $300 million of our tax dollars for policing and caging. Dollars that could help rebuild homes and stabilize families. It could fund right to counsel. It could expand mental health services, youth programs, invest in retention plans, community stability, and more. Because the truth is simple. We do not need more police to keep our community safe. We need the programs that prevent harm to actually be funded. Residents are asking a real question right now. How are we supposed to rebuild our homes while the structure of our city government is being reshaped around us? If this budget moves forward the way it is currently proposed, you can kiss your seats goodbye and there will be even more blood on your hands. You cannot claim public safety while starving the conditions that make the safety possible. Vacant homes, displacement, abandonment are all public safety issues. Recovery is a public safety issue. And to the mayor, you are not a neutral bystander to these decisions. You're in that next room somewhere. We see you. And when the direction of this city shifts, it does so under your leadership. Early in your term, you chose to remove yourself from a lawsuit that could have created transparency and accountability for the Board of Police Commissioners. So to now claim you've been left out of the decision-making loop until the 11th hour is preposterous. And the lack of transparency we are experiencing now could have been avoided. You are responsible too, wherever you are. Your neutrality is blatantly intentional, and North City residents are suffering because of it. If you can move mountains for stadiums, data centers, and private developers, I'd love to see what moving heaven and earth looks like for the North Side. So before decisions are made that will reshape our city's priorities, I urge this body to reject this budget and support Resolution 258, because the people you serve deserve better, and we are not going anywhere until you do right by us. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Haley Black.
Hi, you have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Haley Black, and I'm a resident of the 6th Ward in the city of St. Louis. I support Resolution 258, led by Alderman Aldridge. This is a Republican-run state attempting to decimate a Democratic-led city. Our city was devastated by a tornado last May. North City is in dire need of funds for basic needs. People within Northside have been left without housing through a brutal winter with no hope or support to live and work in the city in St. Louis. Approving this budget approves the death of Black residents. Police don't make cities thrive. The support structures within a We have resident-led organizations in North City that have been standing in the massive gap left wide open by our government. Fund them. I also support litigation proposed by the citizens before me, 2 of them. And finally, we need more leaders in our fight. Cori Bush is here today, and y'all know what to do.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Gregory Zinson.
Hello, you have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Greg Zenson, 3rd Ward. I would thank Alderman Aldridge for the amendment or the bill and the co-sponsors as well. Agreeing to the funding this request for a budget from the Police Commission would be a betrayal of the citizens and the youth and children in particular of our city. One of our problems right now is the school to prison pipeline that's been going on for many years. We get what we invest in. If we invest more in the police, we'll have more disorder in our cities. What we need to do is invest in our public education. There have been people for 70 years, since the New Deal, and also since the Civil Rights Movement, the Great Society, the rights of the women's rights movement, the gay and lesbian, the transgenders. All these things have been eroded tremendously, and that's been a long-term project for many who are in power right now in our government, and they're using their power to make everything they can do to reverse the gains that we've made over these many, many decades. One thing I'd like to see for youth, instead of more prison cells, I think we should have the best education system in the country. That's not a pipe dream. It's not a pipe dream. That's a matter of investing in it. Why don't we have sports leagues for all of our kids all year round, not just during school, but in summer? Why don't we have arts programs that are fully funded, including music, musical instruments for all who want to learn music? I would also like to say a question on one of the things that we're having right now in the police department, as a matter of defunding. I would like to see a defunding of the illegal surveillance that's taking place right now, a violation of our constitutional rights to privacy, and also the targeting of protesters. This has been going on for many, many years, but now it's become on steroids with artificial intelligence and these cameras that can automatically look up 100 databases that you might be on and put you in files. They used to call these the red files years ago. All the police departments all across the country had these on trade unions and activists. The other thing I would like to see the board and the mayor and even the members of the school of the police board that were appointed by the mayor, I want them to repudiate these agreements that the government is trying to make with ICE and Customs and Border Control with all of our local police departments to act as agents of the government to terrorize our immigrant community. Everyone's watched the news for the last couple of years. They know what's going on in this country. It's not a lack of police. They just passed the big, beautiful bill for $180 billion to increase the police force for ICE.
Sir, that is your time. If you could just wrap up your thought.
Okay, just to wrap up, I would just like to also commend President Green for your lawsuit, and if there's an update on where we stand with the lawsuit on the commission, and congratulations on your new family member, and sticking out, working during this condition.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk.
Next, we have Ahasan Dijad.
All right, you have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Good afternoon. My name is Ahasa Jadu. I serve the city as a community organizer. I also serve as a men's healing circle facilitator in the city, and I've been organizing around the tornado response effort. And so firstly, continuing to give any money to the criminal legal system is going to be completely unacceptable. An investment in this police budget is an investment in further shaming, kidnapping, and killing the citizens of St. Louis City, specifically our Black residents. Many of the things that have been said today, all of it I agree with, and so except for those who were in opposition to the bill, of course. And so one of the things I just want to mention, it was said earlier, Alderman, what's his last name? Excuse me, Alderman Oldenburg. He had asked Alderman Aldrich if he had been contacted by anybody on the police board to have a discussion about the bill or about the budget. That was negative. No one had reached out to him. I would just like to say there's no such thing as good faith communicating at a table if you're not sitting as a sovereign entity. And so this is true. I stand firm in supporting Resolution 258. The main reason for that, just to reiterate, is that this is not a police budget bill. This is a conversation about the sovereignty of St. Louis City being taken away under the guise of police control. And so with that being said, again, stand firm in this resolution because right now it's just pausing state capture of the city politics through the guise of this police board. And so as of right now, I guess we can say that St. Louis's sovereignty still remains with the city, and I pray that you all continue to make that the case.
Thank you. Madam Clerk.
I believe this is Sunny Lou.
Hello, you have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Hi, I'm Sunny Lou. I'm a resident of the 9th Ward. I'm a current law student at SLU Law just across the street. And I wanted to lend my support to the potential litigation against the state of Missouri for imposing this mandatory budget and also state control over our police department. That's unacceptable. Also, I'm someone who takes public transit every single day to get down here. The public transit system in St. Louis is abysmal and it needs to be fixed. Why is $40 million being on the table for cops who do nothing, including with all the crazy ways all of you guys drive? I'm not really seeing how the police is doing anything about that either. So, right, let's not pour tens of millions of dollars into the black hole that is funding the police department. And let's put some effort towards things that keep people safe, mobile, and wanting to stay in St. Louis, which is public transit. And like everyone else has said before me, social services, housing, water, reconstructing and rebuilding North City after the tornado. So I support this resolution and urge you to as well, and also add something to it to urge our mayor to sue the state. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Crow Cole.
Hello, you have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Older people, citizens, officers, and officials. My name is Crow. I live a few blocks away in the 14th Ward and work in the city. I grew up on the other side of the border in Scott Air Force Base and have recently returned here to a beautiful city with a community I admire deeply. I think I'm safe in saying that amidst an affordability crisis not seen in this country in 50 or maybe even 90 years amidst a severe increase in scrutiny of the surveillance state we've built and of the officers that rely on and operate it, amidst a sheer panic surrounding the authoritarianism of our federal government and the oligarchy which it serves, I think I'm safe in saying that there is no appetite for this move by our local or state government, not among the broad masses of workers who make up this city. It is true that in this city, as well as every other city I've lived in, we need more funding for social services, not less. We need more funding for education and jobs, not less. We need more funding for paving our roads and expanding our public transit system, not less. It is said that we need the police to keep us safe, but how are they protecting our unhoused neighbors? What safety are the police providing to us, as Alderman Aldridge said, those impacted by lead poisoning? What safety are the police providing for our undocumented neighbors being harassed by federal agents? What about the workers of the city attempting to seek democratic control within their workplaces? How are they providing safety to the children in our underfunded schools with their unsupported teachers? Are the police going to fix the houses in the north side ripped apart by the tornado? Are the police going to protect us from the next disaster? Are the police going to protect us from the COVID strain still ripping through our communities? Are they going to protect me from people trying to sideswipe me while I'm cycling on with no bike lanes? Are they going to protect our children from hunger or our tires from potholes? If you will, then by all means, let us know. They're right out there. I'm not going to say that we don't need someone to investigate murders and rapes, but how good a job is the department doing at that? In 2025, they solved 61% of murders. Clearly, they don't need more money. They need to reallocate their existing resources and consolidate their focus. The good Alderwoman Green said that we need to put our rules to the test and take risks in standing up to the state. And I can only speak for myself here, but let me say that I will stand 10 toes down behind anyone who stands for our community. Thank you, Board of Alders. Thank you, people of St. Louis. Please support Resolution 285.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Ella Braun.
Hello,
You have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
my name is Ella Braun. I am a concerned citizen of the city. I would like to urge you to not just support Resolution 258, but we must go further than that. We must think about this as not only are these dollars being spent towards the police, keeping people safe, but even further, is every dollar being maximally efficient in helping our citizens, helping our communities? And I say no. It's ridiculous the amount of money we are spending towards the police when there is still things like the tornado in North City, when there is still unhoused people in our communities, when people need support and the money is not there. We have seen it. The winter outreach programs, we're told, no, there's just not enough money. Public transit, no, there's just not enough money. Public schooling, no, there's just not enough money. But now we have all this money that, first of all, all the money that they currently have, but then even more money is being potentially allocated to them. And to this, I really direct towards you, President Green. You have a say on the budget. Please, please reconsider how much money is being spent towards the police and where else we could spend it. There are so many ways we can improve the city. I adore the city, and so much is great about it, and so much more could be great about it if we just spend the money where it's needed and not just endless police. Police are not cheap. Even if I accept the premise that they keep people safe, are they maximally keeping people safe? Is that where the money is best being spent? I just don't believe so. And so I ask that you all support Resolution 258. I ask that the mayor takes actions to defend the sovereignty, but I especially in this moment ask you, President Green, to take action to halt this budget and actually spend the money where it's needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Zoe Hines.
Hi, you have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Hello, I'm Zoe Hyams, and I live in the 6th Ward. I support this resolution and implore you to do everything in your power to reject this budget so that this city might have any hope at all of a just and sovereign future. That the police receive 25% of our general fund is already appalling. For the record, I don't want not one penny for police. In my work, I practice transformative justice with young people, and I have learned so much from that practice how we create safety. Policing doesn't make us safer. We are all safe when we all have our needs met, when we are fed, when we are rested, when we have systems of care instead of punishment, when we look at people suffering harm as a problem to be solved together and not a reason for blame. And I have learned so much from living in this city that SLMPD sure doesn't keep us safe. They keep us scared, surveilled, and brutalized. They keep me up all night with one of those stupid surveillance camera carts flashing lights at the end of my block. I'd feel safer in a city with no cops, but with roads that don't resemble Mario Kart, with services for the unhoused, who but for a stroke of bad luck could be most of us. A city that rebuilds after constantly escalating natural disasters hit us. A city that recycles. This grab for wealth and power from our corrupt and imposed Board of Police Commissioners cannot be separated from the context of all else happening in this nation. The white supremacist ruling class wants us desperate, so they can turn the full force of the law against us and cleanse and imprison Black, brown, and queer people and any who oppose their power mad agenda. This proposed budget is exactly what they want for our city. Their attempt to set an example of us, just as they have attempted in LA, DC, Chicago, Minneapolis. We don't need increased ICE presence when our cops are doing their work anyway. Without effective resistance, this budget will seal our fate. We are running out of time to choose a just and care-centered future. Reject this budget, invest in our communities, in our roads, our food, our children, in housing, in North City. Use this government to support St. Louis in thriving and retain any semblance of relevance. This is the fight for our city's soul and future. Lead boldly and effectively now, or there won't be another chance.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, next speaker, please.
Layla, I'm not sure, Shaw?
Hello, my name is Layla Shaw, and I reside in the 6th Ward in the South City of St. Louis. I'm here to say that I support Resolution 258, and I am not in support of increasing budget to SLMPD. In fact, I'm not in favor of any budget allocated toward the police at all. This city needs money put towards the people and the infrastructure, filling potholes, anti-violence community programs, housing efforts, youth development, mental health services, and rebuilding North City. There are residents of North City traumatized by last year's tornado, living in remains of their homes, covered in tarps to this day. Are we going to keep ignoring them and abandon them in the remains? The people of St. Louis want their city to be great. This city is as great as it is because of the people in it and the work they do. This money needs to be invested in the work on the ground, to restoring humanity to the city and the people. All I've seen St. Louis SLMPD do is hunt down vulnerable, poor, unhoused people to arrest, brutalize Black people, and crash their vehicles into gay bars. I have never felt safer seeing an increase in police force on the streets. What I want to see is my neighbors getting what they need, us caring for one another and thriving in this city. I reject this budget increase, and I want to see this budget invested in restoring North City and programs supporting our neighbors. Thank you.
Mr. Ariane Johnson?
Prop man, same thing.
Would you spell your last name and pronounce it for me, please?
Johnson, Johnsson.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Ariane Johnson, most known as Prop Man Johnson. proud resident of the powerful 10th Ward, founder of the Tiny Home Project. I might not always agree with Alderman Aldridge, but when I saw this bill, I knew it affected everyone in the city of St. Louis. What I fight for every day is simple: youth programs and violence prevention. We keep talking about crime in St. Louis. Yes, crime numbers may be down, but let's ask ourselves why. It's not because of good policing. It's because a lot of people are moving out the city. Not a real solution for our community. A real solution is investing in our youth before they even get into trouble. If we properly fund youth programs, violence prevention programs, I truly believe we will not need to keep expanding police and funding. Prevention is always more powerful than punishment. Right now, across the state, there are efforts pushing charging more youth as adults and locking them up early. But we have to understand something. Many of these kids are not mentally equipped to handle the adult prison system. When we take that path, we're not fixing the problem, we're creating lifelong damages. We don't need to keep putting more money into crime after it happens. We need to invest to stop it before it starts. Prevention. The means funding program, the funding program that's actually reaching youth people today, programs that speak to 2006 youth, because a lot of these programs that violence prevention does have is stuck in 2000s that it don't reach today's youth. Our young people need opportunity. They need mentorship, they need skills. They need places to belong and discover for full potential. Because the truth is simple, our future is our youth. If we don't invest in them now, we'll be paying for it later. So instead of taking more resources away from prevention, let's invest in the programs that give our youth people a real chance to succeed. Before we even think about locking them up, I support the resolution 1,000% by the alderman. But alderman and the mayor, remember, the youth got the next vote. So anybody going against the resolution, remember, the youth has the next vote. Y'all won't be around. I'm gonna close with, let's train the youth to rebuild the community, because as of today, we don't have enough skilled people to rebuild St. Louis. Let's rebuild St. Louis and keep the money in St. Louis. We have skilled people, but they don't look like us, and the money will leave our community. I'm gonna close by saying, we can do it together, but we do not need to spend another dime on policing. We need to do prevention before policing. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Tamika Mitchell? Is that Tamika or Tamala Mitchell? I'm sorry. Amanda Lopez.
I wish. You have 3 minutes, please proceed.
All right, I think everything that I wanted to say has been said by other members of the community way better than I could say it, but my name is Amanda Lopez. I am a resident of the 5th Ward, and I worked in the 7th. I am here today representing myself, but also representing the Migrant Immigrant Community Action Project of St. Louis, also known as the MICA Project. The MICA Project is a nonprofit that focuses on legal services for immigrants, advocacy, and so much more. And on behalf of myself and our staff as a whole, we support this resolution because we do not believe that more money is going to keep our undocumented and immigrant and migrant communities safe. We have seen what the police collaborating with ICE has done for our community. It has installed fear, and it has vilified all of the members of those communities in St. Louis, and we cannot continue to allow for that. At the MICA Project, our mission is to empower and to support the human dignity of all people, immigrants and migrants alike. And I think that as a board, your job should be to uplift the human dignity of all the residents. So please keep that in mind. Huh? Yes, I know. I know you. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk.
We have Wes Schimiker.
All right. You have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Appreciate it. My name is Wes Schnitker. I'm out of the 7th Ward. As others have said before, police budgets like ours and other cities don't address or solve problems in the city, and that's the massive budget as it is. Those funds going to addressing basic needs of the people does. Those funds going to caring for our folks and their homes on the north side does. But the alder people and city leadership that may be in favor of this budget already know those facts and are willing to sacrifice the city for their own gain with Jeff City and the police. If you're willing to sacrifice the well-being and basic needs of the people in this city, you should also be willing to sacrifice your peace of mind as you walk around this city. The people of this city have got no problem organizing against everyone from the mayor on down. Every dollar we remove from the police budget makes the city safer. Every dollar we remove from the police budget lifts the people up, lifts our beautiful built environment up, lifts our transportation, our water, our healthcare, our well-being, our culture, and our lives. As a final reminder to those ready to sell the city out, y'all have addresses, and we've got no problem making your daily lives hell, like we did when Lyda Crewson paired with the state to break our minimum wage, to get the state's riot cops in return to suppress the people's voice. Resign, Kara. Take the cops with you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Dave Boger.
All right. You have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Thank you. I'm Dave Boger. I live in the 6th Ward and 30-year resident there. This is 30 years. It's been wonderful. I've enjoyed this city more than any place I have ever lived. My neighbors have a statement. They say, "Thank God we don't get as much policing as we pay for." For me, increasing the police budget and removing money from the rest of the city means that there's not going to be enough money for forestry to take down the tree at 3665 Russell. The 100-year-old oak, dead on the south side, dead on the east side, leaning toward the south by 11 degrees today. In 1996, it stood up straight when we moved in. When that tree falls, not if, but when that tree falls, it'll take out the car that's parked right next to it and takes out 6 cars on the other side of the street, and it will take out the front of 3662 and 3664 Russell. And when it does that, all that glass is going to fly through those apartments all the way to the back walls. And I think we're going to lose some people. I know there really isn't anything you all can do about it. We're on the list, and if forestry doesn't get cut too terribly bad, that tree will come down and all those people will be alive. I'll shut up now. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk?
Online, we have Dallas Adams.
All right. All right, you have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Okay, great. Oh, my camera froze. Am I still live?
Yep, we can hear you and see you.
Okay, great. My name is Dallas Adams. I'm a proud resident of the 3rd Ward. I am here today to speak in support of the resolution. I echo many of the great things that the other people who have spoken in support have said, and I'm just here to add my voice to reiterate again that public safety is much bigger than police. And the police do not need any more money. There's no study, there's no evidence that correlates that giving the police more money makes us more safe. I just want to also take this opportunity to point out some of the departments that we find as they are a deficit in our city services. When I hear people in community complain about the things that don't make our city so great, they think about the building division. They think about the police's response. They think about neighborhood stabilization. They think about all of these programs and these systems that don't work, that are under the Department of Public Safety, that would be able to be better resourced if it were not for the large allocation of that budget going to the police. One of those city departments that the Division of Public Safety also manages is the City Emergency Management Agency. And I am often at the budget committee hearings to testify in support to every resource that we have available going to tornado recovery. And in a time where tornado recovery is already suffering and half of our city has literally been left to rot, and we work hard every day to try to restore the dignity of the people who lost everything in those tornadoes, I think of the things that actually do make us safe. I think of population, and I think of vacancy, or the lack of vacancy, and the putting neighbors into homes, having vibrancy in communities, having infrastructure and eyes in neighborhoods. One of the reasons why people feel so unsafe, because safety is both real and perceived. But I believe that one of the reasons why people feel so unsafe is because there are no people. We are lacking people. In a time where there's also a shortage of now available housing because of a natural disaster. And we are fighting for every single penny, fighting tooth and nail, begging every single committee to try to make hell move to recover people. Our budget needs to be solely focused on restoring the needs of our city. And I look forward to every member of the Board of Aldermen fighting, as well as the mayor's administration, as well as any other public official, both here or on a state level, that can help us to make the case that we need every single dollar to be working for the city of St. Louis. And this is not the most efficient way for us to use our funds. So thank you for the opportunity to testify, and I look forward to all supporting this resolution.
Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Next, we have Angel Flores.
All right, you have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Angel Flores. I live in Ward 2, and I'm an organizer with the Party for Socialism and Liberation. Have we forgotten the Ferguson uprising? Have we forgotten that the Black Lives Matter movement spread to the entire country thanks to the efforts of the residents of the city? Last year, homicides dropped 50%. Thanks to the efforts of restorative justice organizations. Yet this state board demands the local government hands to the foreign-controlled police 25% of our entire city budget, at least $250 million, and which will defund the very organizations responsible for lowering homicides and crime, such as Action St. Louis, 314 Oasis, Freedom Community Center, Art City Defenders, and many others. Why is this police board, which includes Kara Spencer, doing this? I cannot but think that they are inspiring themselves on the actions of pro-slavery politicians from 200 years ago. Why is St. Louis and Kansas City the only two cities in the US without control of their own police? Well, the idea comes from Missouri's segregationist laws during the Civil War, when Missouri state government took control of the police out of these cities to keep black people enslaved. Now, let's also be clear on what this budget means for every working class person who lives in the city, if it's approved. If your board approved this budget, the already broken roads of the city will not get paved, and trash won't be picked. Snow will not be plowed. The safety nets working families, the safety nets that keep working families in their homes of all races, will no longer exist. And the tornado recovery effort, already screwed up by the state legislature's underassignment of funds, will completely fail. I demand three things. One, fight to return control of police to the city of St. Louis. Two, fund actual safety, food safety, schools, housing, living wage jobs. And three, give all of the RAMS settlement money to the organizations already doing the tornado recovery work. Vote no on this budget. If you vote yes on the police budget, you will have another Ferguson uprising. Not because I say so, not because I'm threatening you, but because history does not lie. You are recreating and reinforcing the conditions that led to that uprising if you vote yes on this budget. Where there is repression, there is resistance. Vote no on this subject. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Online, we have Kathleen Logan Smith.
Sorry.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
We can see you and hear you. You have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Great. I'm going to be quick because all the good words have been said already. I support what Angel said. I support what Dallas said before that. I feel that every available penny that we have in the city right now needs to be going to recover North St. Louis. The neighborhoods up there, it's an open wound that hasn't even been dressed. And we cannot be bragging about our city and attracting anybody here until we take care of our families in North St. Louis that are still suffering. And that needs to be priority one. I agree that public safety is way more than policing, and anybody who drives in the city will tell you that. And any parent will tell you that. And what we need is programs that work. And another thing I need to speak for is the city employees in the city, because they work really hard. Almost all of the regular employees have more than one job, and they still serve the city with their whole heart. And they deserve the respect of getting their little raise and also not being treated like they're disposable, because they're essential. That's all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
We have online, next we have Sarah Watkins.
I was hoping the baby was going to testify. You have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, committee members. My name is Sarah Watkins. I'm a resident of the 7th Ward. I'm a housing advocate and tenant organizer with Tenants Transforming Greater St. Louis. We have a few core values, but the ones I want to focus on tonight are housing is a human right and the most impacted must leave. I'm testifying in support of Resolution 258 to reject the proposed Board of Police Commissioners budget because I am a survivor of police brutality, homelessness, and domestic violence. If this budget passes, it would cause the city to disinvest even further in our communities, including crippling the city's capacity to keep St. Louisans housed in safe and dignified spaces. It would directly impact the base of people I work with every day, which is renters. We do make up the majority of St. Louis, including myself and my loved ones. Programs like rental assistance, Impacted Tenants Fund, Code Blue, expanding shelter spaces beyond North City, and Right to Counsel, which is massively underfunded for the last 2 years. The community actually packed this room to demand that it be fully funded. And we know that in St. Louis, that Black mothers with children, like myself, are the most likely to face housing insecurities and evictions. The other thing I want to talk about is public safety. We know that we keep us safe. We know that the most impacted must lead, like I said earlier, and we're telling you we don't want any more money going to killer cops. Policing is not public safety. Surveillance is not crime prevention. And in 2018, I was pulled over for expired tags in the middle of a mental health crisis, and I ended up beaten, pepper sprayed, and with a metal plate and 6 screws in my arm. And when I was facing eviction, it was my community and trusted organizations that helped me through my housing crisis, not the cops. So to truly rebuild this city and to make it whole, I demand that the Board of Aldermen and the Board of ENA reject this budget, refuse to line the pockets of people who profit from this city's suffering, and tell them to figure it out, just like we have to tell our people when they call us looking for rental assistance to stay in their homes, when they're looking for food and shelter. They need to figure it out just like our people do. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
We have online, I'm not sure, Yamani, last name, first initials W.
All right.
Hi, thank you.
If you could
Can you hear
state
me?
your, if you could, yeah, we can see and hear you. If you could just state your name for the record, and then you have 3 minutes, please proceed.
My name is Imani Wentz, displaced resident of the 4th Ward and former business owner in the 5th Ward. My work centers literacy and children and providing books on the North Side. In 20 years, 99% of the households on the North Side will never have accessed 100 books. Many of us have read 100 books in a year, 100 books in a couple of years, have 100 books in our homes. I bring this up because we tell our children to stay in school, to read, to stay out of trouble. But what do we say to our children when 4,000 plus families in SLPS struggle with homelessness and the state wants to control the police and the city is losing an exorbitant amount of the budget? I reject this budget. We understand the school to prison pipeline. So what are we telling children when their recreation centers in their city are not being funded and they lack hours? And we know that by the 3rd grade, the same state that they live in has already looked at their reading scores to determine how large their jail cells would be. So if we continue to fund the police, we are continue to tell our children that they belong in a city where they live in a place without hope, without joy, and that they can expect homelessness and lack of education, lack of reading, lack of opportunities. So I reject this budget. We need to fund our Right to Counsel program. We need to fund housing programs. We need to fund recreation. We need to fund all of the things that make a great city great, including public spaces, parks, things that make people happy, food. And that's my time.
Thank you.
Miss Imani, could you spell your last name for me?
Wince, like the word Wentz.
Thank you. Next, we have Khalid Edwards.
Kalia Edwards, resident of the 3rd Ward, here testifying on Resolution 258 in support of it, specifically speaking to Shane Cohen, but really all of you. Because at the beginning and the end of the day, y'all work for us. Y'all do not work for the police, and y'all do not work for the Board of Police Commissioners. You work for the people up in this room and the wards they represent. So for y'all to even think about giving the money and the resources, stripping the money and resources from us and giving that to the police, a police department that you don't even have control over no more, is ridiculous to me. Y'all have to think about the fact that you live in a city where Black people make up the single largest group of people up in here. And we have been telling y'all for years that the police, y'all funding us, having more police interactions does not make nobody safe. What it actually does for the everyday Black person walking around St. Louis, it gives them 2 options, dead or in jail. That's the reality. There was a situation in my family just a couple of years ago. A family member of mine developed a serious mental health disorder, and he was completely manic for the first time ever, and we didn't know what was going on. And, he was just tripping. Somebody decided to call the police to help the situation, to de-escalate the situation. When the cops pulled up, it was 3 white cops, 1 black cop, and they didn't ask no questions. They all had their guns drawn at my family member. And they were saying, "We'll shoot you, we'll shoot you, we'll shoot you." And my mama heard that. And she said, "Hold on, don't shoot, don't shoot. He don't have no gun, he not violent. This is a mental health call." And so the black cop actually recognized my mother, and he said, "Oh no, y'all, put the guns down." And he put down his too. And he said, "I know this family. I know this brother right here. I went to school with him, actually. This is a good family." Since that situation, my family has relied on services like the Independence Center, like Places for People, like behavioral health services, all of which would be defunded if y'all don't reject this bill. When y'all strip resources from us and strip mental health specialists being pulled up on the scene and instead put a cop in their place, it gives us nothing but hopes and prayers. And we can't really rely on that, though. What we really need is real action, real solutions, and we need y'all to support this resolution.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
We have Caitlin Kilgo.
Hello, you have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Yes, my name is Caitlin Kilgo. I live in the 7th Ward. I'm a transplant to St. Louis. I'm originally from Texas, and I moved up here for a job back in 2012, and just for a few months, and I fell in love with this city. The beautiful architecture, the incredible food, but most importantly, the people. And so I, several years later, made my way back here to St. Louis to call this home. After being a little bit of a nomad myself and moving around countless times throughout this entire country, St. Louis is the place that I chose to make my home because it's incredible. It's beautiful here. And for the first time in the 6 years that I have chosen to continue hopefully the remainder of my life here, I've questioned whether this is a place that I would want to be. And that was because I heard about this budget proposal. For a moment, I imagined what this city could look like if that budget proposal went through and the police were to receive $330 million. And it's scary to try to picture how bad they already are, which has been testified by countless people here today. And given the ability to make things worse, I want to reiterate something that's been said only a few times today, that SLMPD is the deadliest police force in America right now. Point blank. It's unacceptable. I would like to demand that, Kara Spencer, I hope you're listening. You need to do something about this. We're coming for you, your seat. You won't be here much longer if you do not do what you need to do and protect the city the way that you were elected to do. You need to sue the state immediately, and it is a shame that you have not done so. Listen to your constituents. Listen to the people that are in this room and in this city that you are supposed to be caring for, and do something about it. Thank you, Rasheen Aldridge. I appreciate your time. And Megan as well, everyone who is in support of this resolution, I appreciate that. And I ask and urge and demand that you do even more. We have to abolish the police. It's the only solution. because I don't know if you've read the 13th Amendment, but slavery is still legal. We have not abolished slavery in this country. And the more police we have, the more people this city will incarcerate and ultimately murder. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Online, we have Cynthia.
Hello, thank you.
Could you turn your
Get my
camera on,
on.
please?
Yes,
There we
yes,
go.
yes, here I come.
Okay.
All right,
yeah,
thank you. Good afternoon, everyone.
If you could just state your name for the record, and then you have 3 minutes, please proceed.
All right, do I need to say my first and last name?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I am Cynthia Chappell. I am a city resident. I live in Ward 1 in the Bevo neighborhood, where I have resided since 2017 when I purchased my home, and I am a city homeowner. And so I just want to kind of, as a city resident and also a business owner in the city, give a very broad statement here today and just talk about my vision for the city and just overall public safety. So I'm a community leader. I lead a local education nonprofit here in St. Louis serving the region. And I just want to talk again broadly. So the recent decision to not approve the proposed budget for the city of St. Louis really reflects a deeper concern about priorities and long-term sustainability for our communities. Public safety is an important responsibility of government. Supporting the men and women in uniform who serve in our Metropolitan Police Department, St. Louis Police Department matters. However, safety and a thriving community requires more than just increased policing alone. It really requires thoughtful and meaningful investment in the systems that support the everyday life of residents. And I speak this from a perspective as a city resident, as a resident who enjoys and loves living, working, playing in the city of St. Louis. So communities across our region are asking for stronger city services, reliable trash collection, responsive infrastructure maintenance, youth programs, workforce development, neighborhood investment. These are not and should not be secondary priorities. They are essential components of public safety and community well-being. We need a budget that reflects this and a balanced approach that strengthens both safety and opportunity. Investment in housing stability, education pathways, job access, neighborhood services. We need all of these conditions to be met that leads to crime reduction while building a city where residents can thrive. So as this budget process continue, I want to implore and encourage city leaders to continue to work collaboratively towards a plan that supports a responsible public safety funding and ensuring the city of St. Louis has necessary resources to deliver high quality services to all of its residents. Public safety can no longer take a police first approach, but we must pivot to a community centered and community driven public safety holistic approach. And so those are my comments as a city resident, homeowner, and business owner. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
I'm not sure of this name that has the initials TT. First name starts with a T, last name's with a T.
All right, if you could just state your name for the record, and then you have 3 minutes, please proceed.
Hello, Council. My name is Tarn Taylor, resident of the 7th Ward. And I just want to look you all in the face and tell you that what's happening right now is the declaration of war. This is what you're seeing. They're enacting war on your constituents. And if you say no, cool. But if you don't, you're letting it happen, you're being complicit, and we won't stand for it. We will not stand idly by while you twiddle your thumbs and let baby Lida lie to you and lie to us that she doesn't know what's happening. It's a lie. I can see it in your face right now. You know she's lying, Miss Green. And it's okay for her to lie, because that's what government officials do. But we are here to let you know that we will hold you accountable. And I personally will not sleep, and you won't either. So remember my face, remember the sound of my voice, and remember, I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Matt O'Leary.
Yeah, I think he was probably here for the last bill.
James Page.
Same.
Juliana Nickeldine.
Hi, you have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Awesome. Hello, my name is Juliana Nicodeme, and I am a resident of the 1st Ward, and I work in the 8th Ward. I'm here today testifying in support of Resolution 258 to reject this proposed budget, which I believe is really a state-funded robbery masquerading as a police board. The state of Missouri is sending a Trojan horse disguised as a board of police commissioners to use their leverage to cripple the city of St. Louis and suppress local control as much as possible. They are trying to bankrupt the city, and if you pass this budget, you will be complicit in that. The state's mandated 24% of the city's general operating budget already results in budget increase for SLMPD of about $40 million. But greed and power corrupt more than just our federal government. The proposed budget seeks around $250 million, which exceeds the state's mandatory amount by $72 million. That's an additional $112 million to SLMPD, while the Departments of Health and Human Services have a combined budget of $30 million. Then there's the new proposal, $333 million. Make no mistake, this was a strategic decision to make you feel like you've won if they get settled with 250. The 333, I hope it's not real, but if it's real, it's a distraction. This budget would cripple the city of St. Louis, which is music to the ears of the state, who seem to want nothing more than to watch St. Louis burn. Now, the chief of police has asserted that it's really the $250 million that the board is pushing for, though whether you can trust his word is a separate matter entirely. But let's be clear. This $250 million figure does not include the required retirement costs and the full cost of marshals and park rangers, which are projected to cost at minimum an additional $24 million. In total, this budget would bring the new cost of SLMPD to the city at $274 million. And if they do push for that $333 million budget, that's a total of $357 million that we have to pay as taxpayers. I work at a nonprofit that provides free financial education. Let me make this abundantly clear. We cannot afford that. We simply cannot. Not without mass layoffs, upheaval, continued not paying attention to North City, and making St. Louis seem dirty and destitute and devoid of the vibrancy of the people who live here. That is not us. It does not reflect the city and its people. You were elected to represent the people of St. Louis. If we have a well-funded city with programs to prevent violence, with clean and drivable streets, with upgraded infrastructure, then the police board and the state wouldn't be able to hide from our glow up. I plead with you as a constituent to follow ethical, financial, and practical reasons and support Resolution 258. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lindsay Myers. Lindsay Myers. Armand Walker.
All right, you have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
All right. Hello. My name is Armand Walker. I'm in Ward 2 of Tom Oldenburg. While I cannot support this resolution in full, given its endorsement of SLMPD, which already receives an imbalanced lion's share of city funding, I do agree that the resolution should pass and that the aldermen must shoot down this budget. I want to emphasize that this resolution appears to do nothing more than to cement the Board of Aldermen's position against this budget request. And I'd like to hear what actions are within this board's power to actually move the money where it needs to be. I do thank Alderwoman Green for giving some of that at the beginning. I further support the calls made for the mayor's office to take bolder actions, lawsuit or otherwise, that actually represent the interests of working class St. Louis. If this city wants to stop crime, then let's make sure that people have affordable homes to live in by funding the Northside recovery efforts in full. Let's make sure that people have access to clean water by addressing the $10 million deficit the STL Water Department has projected for 2026. Let's support the violence prevention programs that are endangered by this very absolutely ridiculous budget proposal. Approval of a single dollar more, let alone $72 million more dollars for SLMPD, will be nothing short of criminal. Violent crime stats have decreased in the wake of new violence prevention programs. The department's own statistics, that is SLMPD in the city, from January of this year put homicides at a 12-year low, while other kinds of crime, including shootings, are seeing a rapid decline. While detailed data is not yet available on the full impact of the ARPA-funded violence prevention programs, it should be a priority of this office to understand the impact of those programs and reject any further police funding. The police board, also cannot hide behind their attorney, Chris Graviel, who currently serves as the municipal judge in Glendale, Oakland, and Warson Woods, as well as the municipal prosecutor in Baldwin. He also represents the cities of Chesterfield and De Pere as city attorney, all while holding down a private practice. His employment in those various roles is the kind of conflict of interest widely criticized by legal experts in the wake of Ferguson. That's from an article in the STL Mag. The mere proposal of this police budget is good enough reason to boycott every single business that is owned by these wealthy board members. To never eat at Maggie O'Brien's, owned by Eddie McVeigh. To avoid Chris at the Docket downtown, and any restaurants owned by Chris Serracino of the Bartolino Hospitality Group. To never buy a car from Don Brown Chevrolet. So in the spirit of the anti-ICE movement in Minneapolis, I'd like to end with this. It is our duty, it is our right. Strike, 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 strike. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Jeremy Atkins. Kim Jave or Jave. Craig Mitchell.
All right, you have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Good afternoon, Craig Mitchell, First Ward and returning residents of St. Louis, Missouri. I am in favor of Proposition 256 because, one, I am a product of St. Louis Public Schools and the St. Louis Internship Program and Matthew Dickey's Boys and Girls Club. I'm sharing my experience because not even a month into me moving back, this incident happened. So I write to you, a concerned resident of St. Louis compelled by a recent incident that underscores a troubling gap in public safety and leadership. When an intruder entered a home in our neighborhood, threatened the lives of my mother and young niece, the family did what every citizen is instructed to do, and that's call 911. What followed was not protection, but silence and laziness. Police officers arrived an hour and 30 minutes later. In that span of time, countless harms could have occurred. Every minute was filled with fear, uncertainty, and the knowledge that help was not coming. This was not simply a matter of response time. It is a matter of leadership, accountability, and community trust. Officers had to be prompted multiple times before fulfilling their duty. In fact, they encouraged me not to file the police report because they affirmed that nothing would happen and it would go nowhere. That level of apathy is unacceptable. It signals to residents that their safety is negotiable, that their voices are secondary, and their lives are not prioritized. We cannot allow this to be normalized. St. Louis families deserve better. We deserve a police force that responds with urgency, empathy, and professionalism. We deserve leadership that recognizes that every call to 911 is a plea for survival, not inconvenience. We call upon St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department and city officials to acknowledge the failure in this incident publicly, commit to transparent reform and emergency response protocol, ensure that officers are trained and held accountable for timely and compassionate services. Engage directly with community leaders to rebuild trust and establish clear expectations for safety. This letter is not written in anger alone, but it is written in hope. Hope that our city can rise above complacency. Hope that leadership will listen, act, and restore faith in the institutions meant to protect us. We ask that you stand with us, not apart from us. Safety is not a privilege, it is a right. And I reject any funding, any additional funding that will affirm any of these actions taking place by the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Next, we have Jessica Estes.
All right, you have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Jessica Estes. I'm Director of Partnerships and Organizing at Arch City Defenders, and I work in the 13th Ward. We are here because we demand that every public servant stand in the way of the BOPC budget request. You must speak out. You must reject the budget request. Defund has been deemed a polarizing term for years. And in this case, the Board of Police Commissioners and the state of Missouri is attempting to defund the city of St. Louis. They are coming for everything that belongs to the people. If you are a city employee, you might be laid off. If you were impacted by the tornado, the resources you deserve may be perpetually delayed. If you are already upset about the lack of quality of city services, brace yourself. It's about to get worse. If you are a tenant waiting on the right to counsel to be fully funded, that money is now on the line. If you are a service provider trying to serve your clients well and in a way that actually matters, the city is putting your funding on the chopping block. This is a fight for everyone, and we must be all in. It is one of those causes that make for the strange bedfellows of organizing and politics. There is power in resistance, and we call on every city leader, our public servants, to reject the budget and reject the budget request from the Board of Police Commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
We have Violet Hoxima.
Hello. You have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Okay, thank you. I am in opposition to this greedy budget requested by the Police Commissioner Board. I am in support of Resolution 258, and I just want to reflect some good budgeting and some bad budgets in the United States. This happened in the last couple of months, even weeks. It has come out that the DOJ went on a spending spree because they had the budget to do so. I don't, like, that's ridiculous. If they spend it or lose it, but they're never going to give it up. If we give this budget to the police department, they will never give it up. They will also come for the Rams money. This is unacceptable. On the other side, New York City, they invested in their people. They said, we will give the people the money, and they have seen the lowest crime in the last 2 months. They gave, they invested in the people to shovel the snow, and it got done. Invest in the people of St. Louis, please. This is not new. I went through my emails, typed in police. What came up? I reached out. A senator from St. Charles was one of the sponsors of the bill that has now allowed the state police control. That was in 2023. I even found an email in December of 24, and I wrote to the Board of Aldermen to reject a $4.8 million budget increase then. It has been slow. They will take anything that they can. This is a big jump. And I'm really disappointed that the mayor, when they said this is the budget we were asking for, that her response was there may be layoffs for city workers, not laughing in their face, this is ridiculous. No, we will say no to you. You cannot have this much money. Especially when she came to a Benton Park West neighborhood meeting and showed us the graph herself of how much the St. Louis Police Department gets. I saw that circle, the pie chart, can be completely eaten up if we give the police department this budget that they're asking for. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Ms. Inez Bordeaux.
Hello. You have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Y'all know I usually don't write stuff down, but today I wrote some stuff down. My name is Inez Bordeaux. I'm Deputy Director of Partnerships and Organizing at Arch City. I'm the committee woman for the 3rd Ward and the 5th Senate District. I'm here today with community in support of Resolution 258. I've appeared before iterations of this committee dozens of times in the last decade, starting with asking this committee to do the right thing as it relates to the workhouse in CJC. Instead, what we got was 22 deaths in 4 years at CJC and a defunded and demolished hellhole of a jail, despite this committee's best effort to stop it. Dozens of times I've asked this committee to re-envision what public safety looks like by investing in the people and communities that need it most. Instead, our other hellhole jail has been filled with people arrested and detained mostly for crimes of poverty, while we're being mocked online by a current member of this committee saying, these are unserious people who shouldn't be anywhere near lawmakers. I notice he's conveniently absent today. Dozens of times I've asked this committee to use its oversight authority to rein in an out-of-control SLMP. Instead, we got a police department that crashes into church signs and gay bars and lies about it, who plays Russian roulette and kills each other, who beat their own fellow cop during a protest and tried to cover it up. We've got a police chief and his staff that have rebuffed every effort and demand for transparency and accountability. That same police department said F you to the people of St. Louis and wholeheartedly and enthusiastically supported the state takeover of that department. Now that same department is helping the unelected, unaccountable, conflict of interest riddled Board of Police Commissioners not just rob the people of St. Louis, but bankrupt the city to the tune of $330 million if they have it their way. So here I am, yet again. Here we are, yet again, standing here to say the answer to what ails St. Louis is resources, intentional actions to re-envision public safety, and a commitment to ending poverty, not a massive increase in the police department that kills more people per capita than any other police department in the entire country. The best time for this committee to have listened to the community would have been any one of the other times that we have been here making these demands. The second best time is now. This time, we're going to see if this iteration of the Public Safety Committee has any courage, has any spine, and if you have what it takes to stand up for the people of St. Louis by rejecting this budget. In fact, I'd like to offer, zero the budget out. Let's call the state's bluff. Zero the budget out. Let's call the state's bluff. Let's see if they're actually going to come in here and try to arrest our elected officials. And if they do, I happen to know some lawyers.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Tyler McNeil.
All right, you have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Good afternoon. My name is Tyler McNeil. I actually don't know what ward I live in. I know that I live on the south side right now, and I know that for most of my adult life, I've been homeless. I've been poor. I've been too hungry to sleep. You know, I've gone to work in kitchens and watched people throw away tens of pounds of food that I couldn't afford to buy. You know, I grew up on the west side of St. Louis, on Wells Avenue in Hodemont, and the entire time that I lived there, over 20 years, I never had a job in my own neighborhood, but I saw police in my neighborhood. If you know the area that I'm from, you know that the cross street from where I live, Hodemont, is a popular location for sex workers. When do police help sex workers get off the street? When do police help people escape addiction? When do police get people out of poverty? I've never seen it. Not in St. Louis, not anywhere. To be honest, I don't even know who you folks are. I've had bigger concerns. I've been trying to survive. I've been looking at our federal government cover up for pedophiles. But I came out here, even though I hate leaving the house. I drove to downtown, even though I don't like driving. And I've sat here almost 3 hours, even though sitting quietly is murder on my ADHD, which I can't even get help for because this city would rather give money to police than to social services that I depend on. So I ask, why? For what purpose? To what end? To solve crime? Police don't solve crime. Me, I'm a Marxist-Leninist. I believe that the only way to change people's outcomes is to change their material conditions. And the police are not agents of that cause. Police are agents of what Bell Hooks would call a white supremacist capitalist patriarchy. They do not serve the needs of the people. They never have. Not since the existence of police, which is rooted in slave patrols. These people are slave catchers still, them and ICE. They are slave catchers. They are the KKK. They oppress the people and they ignore the people's needs. And to hand these people millions upon millions of dollars is irresponsible. It is unconscionable. It is against the will of the people. It is against the interests of the people. And the people should not stand for it. The police murdered Fred Hampton. The police murdered Huey P. Newton. They sent Assata Shakur into exile. And for what? To perpetuate a system. millions of dollars is not going to stop crime. Changing people's opportunities is going to stop crime. Education stops crime. Upward mobility stops crime. Thank you. And fuck the police.
Madam Clerk?
Next, we have Donnie Khan.
All right, you have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Hi, I'm Danny Kahn. I'm a resident of Ward 2. I'm on the coordinating committee of the Eco-Socialist Green Party. I support Resolution 258 because the police budget is already too damn high, and it serves to perpetuate war against our black and brown neighbors. We should be divesting from carceral institutions. Instead, we should be listening to community members. Instead, we should be supporting residents' needs. I support litigation as others have called for. I appreciate Alderman Aldridge for this resolution, but it's just a resolution. It's not binding. We expect you all to serve us, but based on your history, we don't have a lot of assurance that y'all will actually do anything for the people. For example, how is it easier to balloon a police budget than it is to build a homeless shelter? When I get told that data centers have nothing to do with tornado funding, I get angry because it's about priorities. It's about what is valued. We value care and healing and justice. We all have to take care of one another. We need to be organizing with our neighbors and setting up sovereign neighborhoods that take care of each other and we can defend ourselves. So if you have neighbors that you don't know already, go bring them a meal and say hello and ask them what they need. Set up regular communications. Start working together. We can keep each other safe. I'd like to lift up Action St. Louis for being a wonderful local example of how we can take care of each other under the worst circumstances. We don't need the police. Unite against the elites. They protect property, not you.
Thank you. Madam
Next,
Clerk?
we have Ishmael Moore.
Hello, you have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Hello, my name is Ishmaya Moore. I'm a resident of the 3rd Ward, and I'm also here on behalf of my chosen family that resides in the 6th Ward. I am a 3rd-generation St. Louisan. My grandma moved to St. Louis after being born into a sharecropping family in rural Missouri, and my parents met each other when my dad almost biked into her at Forest Park. I am here in support of Resolution 258. As a 25-year-old who has deep roots in St. Louis, I am enthusiastic about potentially opening up cooperative businesses here in St. Louis, owning land collectively, being a homeowner. Everyone in my family identifies as either queer or trans. And frankly, budgets like this make us want to move. If in 2026, your definition of public safety means increasing funding for militarized police who are emboldened by a fascist, then frankly, you do not have the cognitive ability and imagination necessary to be elected. They will continue to ask for more. Name a 3-year period in my lifetime when the police budget didn't increase. I genuinely want to know. I am asking for us to look at ways to help keep St. Louis a home for folks like Dale Chambers on the north side, who are artists and visionaries creating ways and ecosystems for St. Louisans in the Ville to have food and safety and access to healing and art for the next 7 generations. Will this budget help her stay here? Or for my comrade Dale, who's currently waiting to hear back from the charter school system if their child can go to a school that will actually support them in education instead of our underfunded public school that they would much rather bring their child to because it's a lot easier. How hard are you going to make us fight to justify to stay in St. Louis? Because if you increase that difficulty, we'll at least fight like hell to de-seat you as a legislator.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Erica Hallman.
Hello, you have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Good afternoon. I'm a resident of the 7th Ward and Alderwoman Saulnier's ward. I don't know how long it's been since some of the people on this board have actually been on the north and west sides of this city. But when you are actually in our community that has been impacted by this tornado, it looks like it's May 17th. While the Central West End and the more wealthy and affluent parts of our city are deep in recovery. Some places you can't even tell that that tornado is hit. And giving $330 million annually, because they will not stop. This is an annual budget. As previous speakers have said, the budget will happen again and again, and it has never gone down. If they take it now, they will take it forever. And I encourage this board not to slap the city in the face like this for the people who have suffered from this tornado, who have been impacted by it, giving them $40 million in recovery one time while giving $333 million to the police annually is only serving to hurt this city, and you will get the uprising that you're asking for if you allow it to pass when you receive this budget. I know as part of the full board, you will receive a full budget in April and June. I encourage each of you in your positions to oppose it completely. Not only to reject the existing budget, but to zero it out. We do not need police in this city. They do not keep us safe. We have known that. We have proven that. This city has done a 250+ year experiment in policing, and if it kept us safe, we would be safe right now. And they wouldn't need $333 million to do it. If any of you had passed a bill proposing to over double your salaries this year, you would be de-seated, and you know it. If the mayor had been proposing a bill to double her salary while people are living in the blown out shells of tornado-wrecked homes, you would all be de-seated in an election. I don't think we can allow anyone else to try and do the same to our city. I also want to highlight something specific in the budget proposal from the Board of Police Commissioners. They have proposed 17 new prisoner processing clerks at a cost of over $1.7 million. This is not just a proposal to expand policing. This is a proposal to expand our jails and to expand prisons in this city. 17 new people just to process folks into the jails. They are declaring war. You've heard that again and again. They are. And this is showing how many people they think they need to lock more people up. Give them $0. Give the state $0. We don't need them. They didn't show up for us. They didn't show up for tornado relief. It was us that kept us safe, and it will always be. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is our final speaker of the night, Kareen Jackson.
What's up, y'all?
Hey, you have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
I probably won't need all three. I'm here because I'm tired of being here, actually. I spent most of my adult life coming down here to these things. I'm a hip-hop artist. I taught at Harvard for 4 years as an American democracy fellow. I've debated people like Cornel West about politics. What I see happening in St. Louis on a political level is so immature that it just makes me sad to be from the city on a public level. And we're at a time now where democracy is going to be tested. Like, as people who ran for office, y'all know that. Nobody sat in your house and put a gun to your head and said, hey, in this troublesome time, run for office. And contrary to popular belief, it doesn't take an insane amount of intelligence to run for public office. It just takes audacity. And it takes positive audacity and negative audacity. Some people have good intentions, some people have shady intentions, some people have personal intentions, so forth, so forth. I believe that what we're seeing is what a lot of public Black intellectuals have been defining as a soft white coup, a coup d'etat, a slick divestment of public services that serve us on a generational level, absolute political cowardice from people that claim to be Democrats. And I use the word claim because there's no way in hell that a liberal agenda is supposed to mesh with a covert racist agenda. So we can't even call people liberals at this point. We don't even know what the hell we're dealing with. So we have to use history as an example. When Thomas Jefferson signed off on the Louisiana Purchase, he split the Constitution in half because the first time that the president used the money of the country to actually purchase land. So we've always had conflicting cultures because there were people already existing here. So we're 200, 300, however many years later, still dealing with the same SHIT. People covertly allowing the damn KKK to determine what happens to the safety of the citizens. And then you have people who are, it's folks that work for the police department that might say, oh yeah, all them people down there, they crazy. But it's not my fault that they didn't study American history. It's not my fault. I know that I'm here because I don't see enough Black men actually coming down here. And when you start seeing people like me, you really need to go home and tell whoever you lay in the bed with, it might be a problem. Because I got stuff to do. I just got back from Barcelona. I got way better stuff to do than spend 3 hours of my life down here defending the damn republic. So I represent the people who are the victims on both sides of the gun, civilian and law enforcement, Black men. By any classic definition, I've been to the United Nations, Geneva. By any classic definition, what's happening to us in this city is classically defined as genocide. When you got the same individual leading the death toll on either side of gun violence on a generational level, I am scared shitless to go home, to go to the store, to go to the gym. And it's not my fault. This is a problem I inherited on a generational level. I encourage y'all to stand up. We didn't vote for soft white supremacist agenda to come and take over St. Louis. We didn't vote for that. So it's y'all job to determine what resistance to that is actually going to look like. Peace.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, you indicated that was the last speaker. Do we have written testimony?
Yes, we do. We have one on Board Bill 151 that was in opposition, and we have a total so far of 26 in support of Resolution 258.
Thank you. All right. All right, Alderman, please proceed. I believe that there's an amendment to this as well.
Yeah, I guess you want to recognize the amendment holder?
Yeah, I'll move that we put amendment number 1 to Resolution 258 in front of the committee.
Second.
Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Discuss it or?
Alderman Oldenburg.
We're just putting it in front of us.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. Alderwoman Velasquez.
Aye.
Alderwoman Sanier.
Aye.
Vice Chair Aldrich.
Aye.
Chair Narayan.
Aye.
President Green.
Aye.
Alderman Oldenburg.
Aye.
7 aye votes.
All right, with that, we have amendment number 1 to Resolution 258 in front of us. Alderman, if you want to speak.
I'm not the.
Whoever would like to carry the amendment, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So amendment number 1 to Resolution 258 would amend said resolution on page 2, adding the following figures after the words, quote, and reflects the realities of a city that must invest in all of its residents. And so after that, what is I believe the second, be it further resolved clause, we're going to add the aforementioned language in there, which is, quote, be it further resolved, the Board of Aldermen urges the city councilor on behalf of the city to file for a declaratory judgment in the court of competent jurisdiction to obtain judicial clarification regarding the calculation of the percentage of the city's general revenue fund required to be appropriated to the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department pursuant to state law. Such action shall petition the court to determine the methodology and dollar amount constituting the required appropriation from the city's general revenue fund, including the statutory requirement that funding shall be no less than 25% by fiscal year 2028. So essentially what this is seeking to do is it's asking the city councilor, who is the attorney for the city, who's supposed to represent the interest, to file a declaratory judgment in court so that we can get clarification from a judge on what constitutes general revenue, since that is what is up for contention at the moment between the city and the police board, is how much would constitute that general revenue fund and how that is calculated. So with that, I would entertain questions.
All right, I'll just go down the line. Alderman Oldenburg, any questions?
No.
Okay. Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. Alderwoman Sonier.
I'm in support, no questions.
Alderwoman Velasquez, excuse me.
No questions, thank you.
Vice Chair Aldridge.
No questions.
I also don't have any questions. So with that, I'll let you close on your.
Sure. I would then make a motion that we adopt amendment number 1 to Resolution 258.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderman Oldenburg.
Present.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. Alderwoman Velasquez.
Aye.
Alderwoman Sanier.
Aye.
Vice Chair Aldrich.
Aye.
Chair Narayan.
Aye.
President Green.
Aye.
1 present, 6 ayes.
All right, with that, we've sustained the motion, and now in front of us, we have Resolution 258 as amended. Alderman, please proceed.
Unless there are any other questions on it, I'll just close out. Seeing no questions.
I guess I'll just run through. If anyone has any questions, just
our final
let me know, or Alderman Oldenburg, raise your hand if there's any questions. Okay, so recognize you to close.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Public Safety Committee. First, it's been a minute. I do want to thank each and every person that came out today to speak on this. Clearly, it's important. You know, this hearing was scheduled at 2, and it's now 5:14, and most of these individuals, you know, have this isn't why this is our primary job. This is not there. So I do want to thank all the organizations, all the individuals who came out to speak on this, because I think it shows a strong support throughout the city of St. Louis that people are, you know, have been concerned, but really concerned now of the decision that this state takeover board is having right now when it comes to the city of St. Louis budget. We're in a time where since the legislator, to be very clear, this was done based because of state of Missouri, state representatives and senators passed a bill to put the police board back under state control, something that residents have constantly said we want our police department under local control. When that was passed, I want to say 2010, 11, or 12, somewhere around there, we made it very clear we want the control of our own police department. And now we're faced not only as residents, but as also elected officials, and kind of forced that this police board that, again, is not made up of elected officials elected within each of our wards, but individuals who were just appointed by a governor. And I do want to mention, as Mr. Teff Poe spoke about being a black man, it is disappointing not to see at least one black man on this board of police commissioners when we talk about representation. I think what this resolution does, at least from the Board of Aldermen, you know, we have kind of limited things that we could do since this is a state control board. And I know while individuals may feel the resolution is non-binding, it sends a very strong message that we also understand the actions that the police board are taking right now are going to be horrible to the future of the city of St. Louis, but more importantly to services that, again, when we talk about public safety, it's not just policing. Public safety is the building division. Public safety is forestry. Public safety is health. Public safety is mental health. Public safety is our water. And I would also encourage everyone to also go to House Bill, and outside of being here today, I really appreciate it, but also call your state representatives and your senators and push back against House Bill 3066 as well as Senate Bill 1657, which is trying to take away even more control away from local government and give full power to the police board to approve their budgets without going through ENA. So they wouldn't have to go through the process of making sure that the president, the mayor, and the comptroller get the last say. So they're basically saying they know best. They don't need any input, not only from elected officials, but just from the general public. So we're in a place where we have to do everything from the organizing side to elected official side to stand up and fight back and let this Board of Commissioners know that the actions that they're taking is going to have huge consequences to the fiscal health of the city budget, which people have already said. We cannot forget that we just went through a tornado in North St. Louis that has been disinvested already decades in the making before a tornado happened. And giving the police department more funds when being on the budget committee, they don't even spend their current budget is just absurd. So I do appreciate you, Mr. Chair, who's a co-sponsor, as well as the alderman from the 9th and the alderwoman from the 6th for signing on as a co-sponsor. And I would ask for a do pass recommendation on Resolution 258 as amended.
I would like to be added as co-sponsor, and I would like to make a motion that we pass Resolution 258 with the do pass recommendation.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we pass Resolution 258 as amended in committee out with a do pass recommendation. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderman Oldenburg.
Present.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. Alderwoman Velasquez.
Aye.
Alderwoman Sanye.
Aye.
Vice Chair Aldrich.
Aye.
Chair Narayan.
Aye.
President Green.
Aye.
1 present, 6 ayes.
All right, with that, we've sustained the motion and passed Resolution 258 as amended in committee out with a do pass recommendation. Congratulations, Alderman. With that, does any member of the committee have any announcements? All All right, seeing none, I believe all members were present today, so there's no one to excuse. So I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned.